Chapter 880. These cowards, not a single one of them dares to come out. I was still preparing to catch two beauties from planet Wuji. Damn it. Master Bin, there are so many people accompanying you, isn't that enough? Shoo shoo shoo, I can't accept your Happy Valley's cultivation methods. Furthermore, I like the primordial body. Master Bin, you can't say it like that. It's a matter of love between a man and a woman, so why keep thinking about cultivation? It's good to relax your mind. We are all elites handpicked by the Valley Master. We know how to make a man feel better than any woman. Brother Bin, why don't we give it a try? Fine, if you want to try, go ahead and try. Take them all. I've taken a fancy to those beauties on the Wuji star. I've never imagined that the Wuji star, a barren planet, could be so full of beauties. Moreover, they're so talented. After we kill Chen Hao, the Wuji star will be ours. By then, we have to fight for the task of taking over the Wuji star. No matter what, we have to get dozens of female slaves. Are you exaggerating, brother? We've been here for half a month and we haven't seen many beauties entering or leaving planet Wuji. That's because you haven't seen the dozens of girls that Uncle Zijing caught on the Wuji planet. Not to mention me, even my uncles were envious of them. It's a pity that they didn't dare to ask Uncle Zijing for them. Furthermore, the three girls who are related to Killer God Chen Hao are even more beautiful. Master Bin, don't be angry. It's not that you guys are too bad, it's that they are too beautiful. Most importantly, they have the primordial body. I'm a clean freak, women can only be private property. I don't like sharing. Sorry, Brother Yen likes them. Alright, Brother Bin, I won't stand on ceremony then. Anyway, I'm just giving them some trouble. Killer God Chen Hao will only be back in half a year. There's no need to keep guarding here. Go, follow me. I'll let you guys have fun. Brother Bin, I'll have to trouble you here. Go ahead, there's no trouble. I can do whatever I want in planet Wuji alone. Alright, beast. Chen Hao had been here for 4 hours. If he attacked, he could easily kill everyone present. But he couldn't. What he needed to do now was to obtain as much information as possible and capture one of the two leaders alive. From the looks of it, this leader known as Brother Bin was undoubtedly the best candidate. Moreover, the opportunity had come. An imperceptible breeze drifted towards Brother Bin. Could it be that Uncle Zijing, that old pervert, knows that I'm coveting the girl he caught? Big Brother Bin sneezed for no reason as he shook his head and said. Soon after, he lazily laid on the ground and closed his eyes, revealing a lustful expression. In his mind, he recalled the dozens of beautiful girls of the everlasting star that he caught a glimpse of. I must have dozens, hundreds. Brother Bin, who was still immersed in his fantasy, suddenly widened his eyes in horror. He wanted to scream, but he stopped abruptly. He watched as his physical body was crushed into meat paste by a horrifying force and pressure that he couldn't resist at all. His primordial spirit was bound by countless spiritual force and pressure and entered between the eyebrows of a young man. He saw the young man's face. It was a pair of horrifying eyes that were like the vast and deep night sky and also like a black hole filled with endless whirlpools and horrifying devouring forces. In just an instant, his primordial spirit entered a vast and boundless big world. At this moment, he screamed in horror. I'm a direct descendant of the Bai family in vast universe galaxy. How dare you kill? Buzz. Before he could finish his sentence, a resplendent light directly bound his primordial spirit. At the same time, Master Bin felt his soul palace tremble. A soul that was many times stronger than him had attacked his soul palace. Immediately, his soul couldn't resist at all. All of his thoughts were imprisoned. Gradually, all of his consciousness disappeared and he fell into endless darkness. He knew that he was done for. His soul was devoured and his body and soul were destroyed. If he had a choice, he would rather leave with his brothers and play with the broken shoes that he had no interest in. But now it was too late. He didn't even know who killed him. He could only confirm that it was definitely an expert from the Daoist Golden Wonderland, Qi. His figure shook as he activated the great teleportation technique. In a flash, Chen Hao disappeared from where he was. When he reappeared, he had transformed into a gust of wind and arrived behind the cultivator and the woman from the Valley of Happiness who had just left. With a single thought, he quietly left an imprint on the cultivator's body. Then, Chen Hao went directly to a nearby restaurant. After going through the procedures, Chen Hao entered the cultivation room and sat down cross-legged. He began to organize the memories in Brother Bin's soul. At the same time, Brother Bin's body that was turned into meat paste also began to condense under the old god's consciousness. After a short half an hour, Chen Hao opened his eyes. Beast. The strong preys on the weak. The strong preys on the weak. What are the rules? Unscrupulous. This is the top family in the vast universe galaxy? If they are all like this, then I, Chen Hao, will kill them all one day. After completely digesting the memories of Master Bin, whose real name was Bai Xiaobin, Chen Hao was furious. Chen Hao was not a good person and had no interest in so-called justice. But he was still an earthling. No matter how much he changed, he still had basic morals. This was also the principle that he unconsciously followed from the beginning. Bai family. They should all be in the Bai family. I hope nothing will happen. Crack, crack, crack. Chen Hao clenched his fists and said coldly. In Bai Xiaobin's memories, Chen Hao saw that several Daoist Jingxian of the Bai family had gone to the Wuxia Star and captured all the people who were directly or indirectly related to Chen Hao, including the talented girls who had nothing to do with him. The number of people he had captured was much more than what he had gotten from his eldest brother, Gu Chen. Mo Yui, Dongfang Jian, Xiao Mei, Xiao Ling, Yang Fan, Lin, Ni Jian Pain, But Face, Xiao Jishan, Xiao Jian, and even Dongfang Ting, Xia Lan Lan, and Duan Yufei who were still in the east continent of the Wuxia Star. These were the young people who had a good relationship with Chen Hao in the east continent. As for Qin Nan, Qin Yan, and Huyan Albua, Bai Xiaobin only knew that they had been captured by the powerhouses of the Wan family, which belonged to the 4 Mad Dragons. However, they should be locked up in the headquarters of the Happy Valley in the Xintian city of the Yang Star. The only thing that comforted Chen Hao was that in Bai Xiaobin's memories, he had heard from Bai Zhijing that no one could touch those who were related to Chen Hao for the time being. Those were the bargaining chips to force Chen Hao to participate in the battle. Physical pain could be endured, but humiliation could not be. Bai Xiaobin is actually Bai Yan's uncle. Although his talent was average in the Bai family, his status was extremely high. It's a pity that Bai Yan died in my hands. However, his identity is enough for me to sneak into the Happy Valley for the time being. Chen Hao's mind moved and immediately opened the door of the cultivation room. At the same time, he took out a blood-red pill and swallowed it. Immediately, his body flickered. When the light disappeared, Chen Hao had turned into Bai Xiaobin's appearance, and his bloodline and aura were exactly the same. Even the people who were most familiar with him would not be able to detect the abnormality. If the soul residence is intact, there won't be a problem with the longevity token. The Bai family definitely won't be able to detect it. It's also in this hotel. It saves me a lot of trouble. Chen Hao caught the mark left on another cultivator, Bai Xiaohua, and easily locked onto his position. He directly merged into all things in the world and stepped out of the hotel first. Then he swaggered in. Sir, do you need to stay in the hotel? When the waiter at the front desk saw Chen Hao, he immediately trotted out to welcome him and asked respectfully. This hotel was just a small hotel. It was rare to be able to accommodate a heavenly immortal realm expert. The person who came had an imposing appearance. At a glance, it was obvious that he had recently appeared nearby and came from a big place. My cousin is here, right? Sush. As Chen Hao spoke, he waved his hand and condensed an image in front of the waiter. Then he said, Let him see me. Please wait a moment. I'll go and report this. Brother Ben, can't hold it in anymore? The disciples of Happy Valley are really not ordinary. Let's have some fun together. You can have your fun. I'm here to tell you not to act rashly for the time being. I just received news that the top sects that God of Slaughter Chen Hao's proud heaven members belong to have also sent people to planet Wuxia. For the time being, no matter what you do, Don't overdo it. I'm going to Xiantian City. Brother Bin, why are you going to Xiantian City? The female disciples of Happy Valley are fun. Since I'm not going to dual cultivate with them, I'm going to ask for a few primordial body. Don't worry, I'll get you too. Brother Bin, you're really something. Thanks in advance. I'm going. Chen Hao patted Bai Xiaowa's shoulder. With a flash of his body, he quickly left. Not long after, Chen Hao walked out of the Xiantian City Alliance's teleportation center and took the Xiantian City's internal teleportation formation to Happy Valley. The Valley Master of Happy Valley only has a few Daoist Jinxian. But the Bai family has 3 Hongmeng Supremes and the Wan family also has 3. The Everlasting Sect doesn't seem to be involved. It should be because of Bailey Ningbing's relationship with me. They're quite generous. Chen Lin and the other geniuses that I killed were only cooperating with me. They didn't do much for the time being. The 6 Hongmeng Supremes might not be able to do anything to you, but they should be able to make you cough up some blood. Chen Hao thought to himself as he arrived at the entrance of a fairyland in Xiantian City. After going through the primitive secret realm, he didn't feel anything when he looked at this fairyland-like valley. It was worlds apart from his mental world. Senior Bai. Hello, Senior Bai. As Chen Hao slowed down and slowly walked forwards, several young disciples standing guard at the entrance of Happy Valley immediately bowed. As for the female disciples, their eyes were filled with flirtatious looks. They wished that this Bai Xiaobin from a top family in the vast universe galaxy would immediately take advantage of them. Chapter 881. What a despicable sect. Chen Hao nodded proudly, but he was cursing the Valley of Happiness in his heart. In the Valley of Happiness, 6 old men sat cross-legged on 6 towering mountains in 6 directions. Their entire bodies seemed to have merged into one with heaven and earth. Endless laws of Tao churned in the void, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathered on its own. Immortal light lingered around them. Within 100 miles of these 6 mountains, countless young disciples of the Valley of Happiness were scattered in pairs in the pavilions and flower beds. Some were cultivating naked under the sun, while others were sitting cross-legged to comprehend and cultivate. They were all bathed in the immortal light of the 6 mountains. Without a doubt, this was a rare cultivation opportunity for the disciples of the Valley of Happiness. Obviously, these 6 mountains were the meditation places that the 6 Grand Mist Supremacy Realm experts of the Bai family and the Wan family had casually condensed. They were independent of each other, but they occupied 6 positions and guarded the core area of the Valley of Happiness. However, at this time, the 6 experts were obviously immersed in their own bitter meditation and did not pay much attention to the situation in the Valley of Happiness. God of Slaughter Chen Hao had not returned, and what they were doing was a secret operation. Even if the Wuji planet found out, no one would dare to come to the Valley of Happiness to ask for him. Chen Hao slightly restrained his aura and walked straight to the palace that the Valley of Happiness had arranged for Daoist Jingxian and Bai Zhijing. Come, Brother Bai, let me toast you. Let's agree on this matter. We 4 brothers have no problem fighting for the Wan family. It's up to you. Don't worry. When the time comes, as long as our Bai family gets it, I will be able to fight for it. When the time comes, the 5 of us will split it according to the ratio we agreed on. That's good. In the hall of Bai Zhijing's palace, not only had the restrictions of the palace been completely activated, but the 5 of them had also joined forces to condense a powerful seal. They were drinking wine and eating the exquisite food provided by the Valley of Happiness. Other than Bai Zhijing and a group of quadruplets from the Wan family, there was no one else. The 4 members of the Wan family, like Bai Zhijing, were the people in charge of this trip to the Asian Ing planet, second only to the family's Hongmeng Supreme. The experts of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm would not care about miscellaneous matters. To put it bluntly, they were basically the people in charge. Today, Bai Zhijing had specially invited the 4 of them for a small gathering. She had no choice but to do so considering that Wuji planet might belong to the Wan family in the future. He tried to rope in the 4 brothers in advance, telling the 4 brothers of the Wan clan about the Wuji star producing beautiful girls and cooperating with them. If that was the case, he would definitely not be able to obtain the Wuji star by himself. However, if the Wan clan obtained it, as long as the 4 of them obtained it, then according to their agreement, he would be able to obtain 1/5 of it. As for the Bai clan, even if they managed to obtain it, they would still have to share 1/5 of it with the 4 brothers of the Wan clan. It was enough to satisfy his needs. Brother Bai, since you've said so much, why don't you call out the little beauty you've caught so that we can verify her? Of course. However, I have only tamed 6 of them for the time being. As for the others, I will give them some time. If they don't obey, then I will have to use force. As Bai Zhijing spoke, he pointed with his finger, and the door of the cultivation room immediately opened. Clap, clap, Mimi, the 6 of you come out first. Yes, master. 6 girls in the creation realm, who were completely in the low martial realm to Bai Zhijing and the others, walked out quickly. They had extremely young life auras, and their graceful bodies were faintly discernible under the silk veil. They were either delicate and beautiful, or charming and moving. Although they were not on the same level as Xianxia and the others, any one of them could be considered a rare beauty in the cultivation world. The only flaw was that their cultivation realms were too low. The 6 girls lowered their heads and clenched their fists tightly. They were obviously very nervous. Brother Wan, take a look. What do you think? Her appearance and figure are not bad. TSK, Brother Bai, you're really something. These clothes make me restless. The eldest of the 4 people of the Wan clan said excitedly as he looked at the slightly protruding pink and tender breasts under the translucent veil and the fragrant black thicket. Since they are being raised as female slaves, they naturally have to learn some flirtatious manners. However, they are not just good-looking and good-looking. Carefully sense their auras. They are very young. As the leader of the Wan family spoke, 6 rays of golden light suddenly bloomed from between his brows and pressed down on the 6 girls. Plop, plop. The 6 girls immediately cried out in alarm and fell to the ground with terrified expressions. They looked at the leader of the Wan family in fear. Immediately, they felt the increasing pressure and fainted one after another. TSK, amazing. The talent and potential of these girls are not bad, but they can only be said to be not bad. Their potential is still too far away from ours. It's not a problem for them to be female slaves and have fun. If it were that simple, I wouldn't be so determined to get the Wuji star. Oh? Is there something special about it? Of course. However, it's normal that Brother Wan can't see it. You have never been to the Wuji star, so you don't know the situation of the Wuji star at all. The heaven and earth spirit chi on that planet is barren. At least, I have never seen a planet that is so poor. More importantly, the cultivators on the Wuji star are too poor. Most of them don't even know what immortal origin crystals are. Not to mention heaven and earth spirit objects, spirit medicine, and other cultivation resources. It can be said that they almost relied on their own cultivation to raise their cultivation level step by step. Such people, not to mention providing them with sufficient spirit medicine, even if they were placed in Xiantian City, their cultivation speed would increase by several times. Their potential is definitely much greater than what we imagined. No wonder Brother Bai would rather tell us and reach an agreement with us to ensure that we won't fail. Good. Very good. Very good. In that case, it's not only the beauties on the Wuji star that are wealth. Yes, if we don't tell anyone about this secret, if we secretly raise the cultivators on the Wuji star, TSK, in just a few hundred years or even 100 years, we will be able to obtain many geniuses that are above average. If we are lucky, we can obtain a few super geniuses, then our status and speaking rights will be even stronger. Very good, very good. I was wondering, how could a small Wuji star give birth to such an indescribable genius like the god of slaughter Chen Hao? Completely correct. When I first went to capture people related to Chen Hao, I was curious and purposely stayed for a few more days before discovering this secret. As long as there are people related to Chen Hao, they have already obtained the full support and training of Limitless Star. With their age, cultivation, and auras, any one of them would be considered outstanding even on Vast Universe Star. After I investigated, I found out that these people were very ordinary before. No matter how strong Chen Hao's providence was, it shouldn't have such a big impact on them. After that, I captured many people to investigate and experiment on, then discovered this secret. Brother Bai, I'll be frank with you. I didn't care much before, but now, I'm sure that this is our opportunity. Other than the 5 of us, we can't reveal this to anyone else. Especially those who are stronger than us. Otherwise, I'm afraid we won't be able to fight for the ownership of the Wuji star. Of course. Dong dong dong, Uncle Zijing. At this moment, there was a knock on the door and a shout from outside the palace. Little Bin? Why is this kid back at this time? Bai Zijing frowned and thought to herself. Then, she waved her hand and sent the 6 girls into the cultivation room. She said, Brother Wan, this is my nephew and also the uncle of the number 1 genius of our Bai family, Bai Yan. Bai Yan is dead, but Bai Yan's father is also very strong. This kid outside the door has a high status in the Bai family. I brought him to the Wuji Star encampment in Golden Light City because I was afraid that this kid would find out something. I'll deal with him first. In fact, there was no need for Bai Xiaobin and the others to go to Golden Light City. The reason why Bai Zijing sent them away was that she was afraid that Bai Xiaobin would ask her for these girls from the Wuji Star. At that time, she would not be able to give them to him. No problem. We're just drinking and reminiscing about the past. Bai Zijing laughed heartily and then waved her hand to open the restriction. Xiaobin, didn't I ask you to guard the Wuji Star? Why you back? Uncle, don't mention it. The cultivators of the Wuji Star are like cowards. After knowing that we are looking for trouble outside, they don't even dare to come out. It's really boring there. Junior Bai Xiaobin pays his respects to the 4 uncles Wan. Chen Hao pretended to be surprised and hurriedly bowed. He didn't even call them senior and directly called them uncle intimately. There's no need to be so polite, Xiaobin. The 4 brothers of the Wan family smiled slightly. This kid knew how to curry favor and was very likable. He waved his hand and sent out a gentle energy, directly helping Chen Hao up. Thank you, Uncle Wan, Chen Hao said. After that, he looked at Bai Zijing and said, Uncle, are you drinking? I have something. I want to talk to you alone. However, Uncle Wan is not an outsider, and this matter, I should be able to help Uncle Wan. You are only in the heaven immortal realm. How can you help Uncle Wan? Tell me what's the matter. Get lost after you're done. Don't disturb Uncle's drinking. Bai Zijing scolded with a smile. After that, she looked at the 4 brothers of the Wan family and said, Brother Wan, don't mind him. Xiaobin is just too friendly and doesn't know how to be polite. No, I think this kid is a rare person. This time, I'm not bragging. I have to say, as long as it's done, the benefits will be huge. Don't keep us in suspense. If you have something to say it quickly. But didn't we get the news that Chen Hao has mastered many legendary lost techniques? Especially his concealment skills are even more amazing. Yes. So what? Chapter 882. Lately, I've been quite bored, so I've collected some information about Chen Hao. His friends on the Wuji planet have all received his guidance, and he has taught them some of his strongest moves. Especially his younger brother and sister, they cultivated a complementary Dao unique skill. When they work together, they are quite powerful. Also, they have unlimited potential to evolve. Similarly, they also know Chen Hao's concealment unique skill, but their cultivation level is lower. How do you know they will? I got it from a spineless guy on the Wuji Star. Kid, are you going to force them to tell you the secret? Uncle, can't I? Of course not. Those I caught have just become human deities, but they are all very stubborn. It's impossible to get anything out of them. As for those controlled by Brother Wan's family, don't even think about it. These are all closely related to Chen Hao. Our family has told us that these are the bargaining chips to threaten Chen Hao to come here. We can't act recklessly. If we want to act recklessly, we have to wait until Chen Hao comes back. Uncle, you are not suitable to act recklessly because of your status, but I am different. Bai Yan is my nephew. I am still waiting for him to raise the status of our family, but he was killed by Chen Hao. I can't take this lying down. I have plenty of ways to deal with women, especially young girls. As long as I can vent my anger, I am not afraid of losing face. Moreover, even if I do something extreme, it is reasonable. The family will punish me at most. Maybe we can even get Chen Hao's unique skill. If we get his concealment unique skill, you and the 4 uncles one can definitely increase your combat power by several times. After all, you just want to sleep with those beautiful young girls. Don't think I don't know your hobby. Ahem. Uncle, I am serious. Concealment unique skill. It is absolutely powerful. Brother Bai, I think Xiaobin is right. As long as we don't do anything extreme, it will be fine. If we can get Chen Hao's concealment unique skill, we will really make a profit. The eldest of the Wan clan's 4 brothers frowned slightly. Then, a bright light flashed in his eyes as he said, that concealment technique can be used by experts 1 level higher. No one can detect it. If we obtain it, we can even deal with the average Hongmeng Supreme. That's true. But after all, your Wan clan, our Bai clan, and the leaders of the other major powers have made an agreement that we can't act recklessly. I'm afraid that Xiaobin will be in danger. It won't be as simple as punishment, Bai Zhijing said. Although he didn't care about Bai Xiaobin's life or death, he was now the steward. If he allowed it, Bai Xiaobin's brother, who was also Bai Yan's father, would blame him. Even his uncle's generation would be suppressed. Therefore, he had no choice but to speak the truth. Brother Bai, as long as we fail, no one will know. But if we succeed, it will be a great merit. If you fail, you won't say a word, we won't say a word, and no one can blame Xiaobin. The premise is that you can't really do it, Xiaobin. Just use all means to threaten and torture. You're right, Uncle Wan. I guarantee that I can do it. Alright, since Brother Wan also supports it, then Xiaobin will give it a try. I'm warning you, if something really happens, don't blame me for not warning you. Chen Hao's background is far stronger than you think. To put it bluntly, the Wan clan and our Bai clan are only nominal leaders. Uncle, do you mean Chen Hao's background could be an important figure in the Holy Temple? Chen Hao pretended to be surprised. In fact, he had long guessed that his father's identity was definitely an important figure in the Holy Temple. However, he didn't know exactly how important it was. But now, Bai Zhijing's words let him know that it was definitely an existence that could contend with the Shao clan, the #1 aristocratic family. It's good that you know. This is also the reason why we were strictly ordered not to act recklessly. I understand. Let's go, Brother Bai. Let's bring Xiaobin over first. We'll continue drinking when we come back. All right, Bai Zhijing said helplessly. However, she cursed the 4 people of the Wan clan in her heart. Obviously, Bai Xiaobin's life and death had nothing to do with them. If they succeeded, they would take advantage of them. If they failed, as long as nothing major happened, no one would know. If something major happened, they would only be slightly implicated. Anyway, it wasn't their Wan clan who did it. However, Bai Zhijing did yearn for Chen Hao's concealment technique. Otherwise, she wouldn't have agreed. Wait, Uncle, didn't you capture dozens of little beauties from Wuji planet? Lend them to me. What are you going to do? Don't worry, Uncle. I'm just using them to threaten Chen Hao. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. God of Slaughter Chen Hao is very loyal. Those who believe in him won't be too bad. It should be effective. You brat. I'll lend you a few. Uncle, all of them? The more people there are, the more imposing they will be. If there are too few people, they might give up. Don't worry, it won't take many. If they want to submit, they will submit. If they don't submit, they can only do it to them. That's good too. I didn't realize that you're getting smarter and smarter. Bai Zhijing opened the door of the cultivation room and directly sent out dozens of extremely powerful forces to bind dozens of girls. Even the 6 who had already submitted to her tyrannical power were no exception. Later, these 6 will go first. They will cooperate with you. But, Uncle, please. Uncle Wan, please. Chen Hao bowed and said. After the 5 of them stepped out of the palace with the girls who had been bound, Chen Hao was the last to leave Bai Zhijing's palace. No one saw that the moment Chen Hao left, an object the size of a human head entered Bai Zhijing's cultivation room. Uncle Wan, the 6 elders won't notice, right? No. They won't. The 6 elders are all sitting in meditation. The supreme being of Hongming is under much more pressure than us now. The cultivation world is like this. When you don't have a goal to chase, you will relax. Now, the temple master Chen Wuliang, who has been in seclusion for many years, and his sisters have all succeeded in cutting their paths. All the experts of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm see hope and also feel pressure. That's right. Our operation this time might be the Shao family's test. And Chen Hao is almost certain that he is the son of Chen Wuliang in his reincarnation. Brother Wan, seriously. I feel that this operation is a little strange. The Shao family is indeed the #1 aristocratic family in the vast universe galaxy. It can be said that they occupy half of the vast universe galaxy, but to fight against Chen Wuliang, I'm afraid. Hee, Brother Bai. Since your family master and our family master are willing to do this, they must be confident. The masters of the vast universe galaxy have changed again and again, but the #1 aristocratic family of the Shao family has not fallen for hundreds of millions of years. How deep their foundation is not something we can measure. It can be said that without the Shao family, there would not be the stability of the vast universe galaxy today. Chen Wuliang has disappeared for so many years. Look at the other galaxies. Which one of them has made a move against us? Isn't it because of the Shao family's deterrence? That's true. Chen Hao only asked one question. He did not expect Bai Zhijing and the 4 brothers of the Wan family to throw out such explosive news. It surprised Chen Hao. Uncle, the 3 of them succeeded in cutting their paths? When did this news come out? Why haven't I heard of it at all? You're just a heaven immortal. Don't worry about these things. I'm curious. Uncle, tell me. I won't bite off more than I can chew. I know my talent. You brat. This happened more than 3 years ago. At that time, Chen Wuliang and his sisters, Han Mei and Shui Mei, cut their paths at almost the same time. The world was in turmoil. Even when they entered the chaotic space, our universe fluctuated greatly. However, only Daoist Jingxian and the experts of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm knew what had happened. Now, the 3 of them were still immersed in the comprehension and consolidation of their realms. In the past 3 years, the Hongmeng Supremes of the other 9 galaxies had also taken the risk to cut their paths. Many old fellows had appeared. In our vast universe galaxy, the Supreme Elders of the various top forces had also taken action. Although I don't know who it is, I'm sure that there are a few people in the Shao family. That's for sure. There's nothing to say about the Shao family's foundation, but without a cutting path expert, I'm afraid we wouldn't be able to take action now, said the eldest of the 4 brothers of the Wan family. That's right. From the small secular countries to the large vast universe galaxy and even the entire universe, opportunities and luck have always been balanced. No one can control a region with the strength of a single person. The balance has always existed. Cutting path, true immortal. Sigh, it's already not bad if we can reach Hongmeng's supremacy in this lifetime. As they spoke, Bai Zhijing and the 4 brothers of the Wan family brought Chen Hao to the core palace of the Happy Valley. At this moment, they were already the masters of the Happy Valley. The core palace of the Happy Valley's Valley Master had also been requisitioned and became a forbidden area to imprison Qin Nan, Qin Yan, and the others. Moreover, it had been sealed by the 6 Grand Mist Supremacy Realm experts. No one could secretly break it. This was also the reason why Chen Hao did not dare to act rashly. Xiaobin, after these people are sent in, you stay inside and keep an eye on them. It's best if you can get something out of them, but it doesn't matter if you can't. Anyway, you have nothing to do, so don't act rashly, understand? When they arrived at the entrance of the palace, Bai Zhijing suddenly said loudly. Obviously, she was talking to the 6 Grand Mist Supremacy Realm experts. There were restrictions left behind by them here. Even if they were in bitter meditation, they would still be able to sense it. It was just a matter of whether they should pay attention to it or not. Don't worry, uncle. I know my limits. Go and, if there's a situation, send us a message. Brother Wan, please. Okay. Bai Zhijing and the eldest of the 4 brothers of the Wan family took out a token at the same time. When the 2 tokens combined, they immediately emitted a bright and mysterious light that entered the runes on the door. Then, the door opened with a rumble. If Chen Hao wanted to rely on his own strength to break through the complex and profound runes, it was simply impossible. The gap between their realms and strength was simply too great. This also made Chen Hao rejoice that he did not act rashly. And now, it seemed that Bai Zhijing and the 4 brothers of the Wan family were afraid of bearing the responsibility, so they would not even enter. Otherwise, they would not have said these words on purpose. This was exactly what Chen Hao wanted. Chapter 883. Chen Hao waved his hand and sent out a stream of energy. He took the dozens of girls from Bai Zhijing's hands and stepped into the core palace. Chi. The moment they entered, Bai Zhijing and the leader of the Wan family put away their tokens at the same time. The palace door closed, and the powerful restriction was activated again. Buzz. When Chen Hao saw the familiar and slightly unfamiliar faces in the palace, he saw the black chains covered in runes piercing through the collarbones, as if they were beasts, tying up his brothers and sisters. The anger that Chen Hao suppressed in the depths of his heart instantly erupted like a volcano, and hot blood rushed to his head. A boundless murderous aura was unleashed. Whoosh! At this moment, the huge palace was immediately filled with a cold pressure, and the temperature plummeted. One by one, the figures who were sitting cross-legged and resisting the double torture of their bodies and minds immediately opened their eyes and looked at Chen Hao. There was no fear or even emotion, but each of their eyes was filled with determination and determination. There was no exception. The more it was like this, the more painful Chen Hao's heart was. It was even more painful than when he endured the extreme path inheritance and the heavenly punishment that attracted the wrath of the heavens. It was a heart-wrenching pain that seeped into his bones. Clang! A light flashed between his brows, and the clear sound of a sword rang out. A cold sword light accompanied by an ancient aura swept out. Chen Hao held the treasured sword in his hand with trembling hands, and his eyes could not help but shine with a hint of crystal. I'm sorry. Chen Hao's voice trembled. If you want to kill us, then kill us. If you want to use us to threaten our boss, dream on. You beast. You even captured so many people from our Wuji star. Just you wait, our boss. Jing Tiangang, stop talking. Isn't it just death? Huyan Aobo stopped Jing Tiangang and said indifferently. He also believed that if they died, their boss would definitely seek justice for them. However, there was no need to say it out loud, because the current boss was still a lot weaker than these people. Brother Aobo, it's okay. They don't dare to kill us. If they wanted to do it, they would have done it long ago. Why wait until now? They don't dare to do anything to us. Daoist Jinxian, my brother is only a celestial immortal, but these scum can only use such a method to threaten him. Not to mention my brother, even if I, Chen Nan, don't die, I will still kill all of you. Chen Nan said. Right at this moment, Shen Yan, who was beside Chen Nan and had an extremely weak aura, suddenly said in a daze, Little Nan, I saw Big Brother. Xiao Yan, don't give up. Why won't you listen to us? I said, they wouldn't dare to kill us. Big Brother once told us not to give up until the very last moment. How can you give up? I haven't seen Big Brother for a long time. I really want to see Big Brother again, but I don't want them to use me to threaten Big Brother. I'm sorry, Chen Yan said weakly. Since the beginning, she hadn't resisted the torment of her soul and body. She just let her life force slip away. Xiao Yan, how can you be so stupid? What you're doing is meaningless. Do you think they'll let us die? Sister. Chen Hao closed his eyes and said with a trembling voice, Brother is here, fuck off. You dare to touch my sister? But. Chen Nan looked at the person in front of him, who was holding a sword that was obviously beyond their understanding. As he walked step by step towards Chen Yan, he struggled and roared crazily. He wanted to say something threatening, but nothing could threaten the other party. His futile struggle only caused his collarbone to bleed again. "What do you want to do? Come at me." Xiao Mei used all her strength to shout at Chen Hao. In the Xiao family, she had watched Chen Yan grow up. Because of the feelings hidden in the depths of her heart, she was closer to Chen Yan than her own sister. Voila! Suddenly, a dense light flashed around Chen Hao's body. Immediately, Bai Xiaobin disappeared and was replaced by Chen Hao's real body. Cries of surprise rose and fell one after another. Huan Aobua Meng Xiao, the first king, Jing Tianggeng, Bailey Lianqing, Gao Zhuang, Bai Xiaomei, Zhang Rongrong, Tan Hui, Gu Xing, Lin Hao, Jiang Hai, Huang Wenxiu, and the other prideful elders of the Wuji star, Mo Yui, Dongfang Jun, Yang Fan, Ling and I Jian Pain, and the other brothers who had followed Chen Hao in the beginning, Xiao Mei Lil Ling, Buttface, Xiao Jishun, Xiao Jifit, and the other people who were the closest to Chen Hao in the secular world. There was also Xiao Ji Yen, who had been estranged from him. Even Dongfang Ting, Xia Lanlan, Duan Yufei, Xia Yu's brother, Xia Nantian, and the others who were still on the eastern continent of the limitless planet. All of them widened their eyes in surprise and fell silent. The incomparably sharp sword light carried an extremely condensed power, and in an instant, there were dozens of swords. Puff, 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 puff. The chains that bound everyone were cut like tofu without any suspense. At the same time, a majestic and terrifying aquamarine energy suddenly flowed out from between Chen Hao's eyebrows and turned into beams of light that enveloped everyone's bodies. Endless vitality and pure energy made everyone horrified to find that the chains that had been torturing their souls and bodies were healing at a terrifying speed. "Brother, what?" Woo, woo, woo. When Chen Hao gently hugged Chen Yan's delicate body, Chen Yan, who thought he was dreaming, felt the familiar breath and the warm embrace. Only then did he come back to his senses. With a wah sound, he cried out loudly and used all his strength to hug Chen Hao tightly. Just like when he was a child, his legs hung around Chen Hao's waist and tightly wrapped around it. "Brother!" Chen Nan's angular, determined, and handsome face was tearing up at this moment. He had grown up and had always regarded his brother as his goal. In the cruel world of cultivation, he had experienced countless battles and shed blood but not tears, even in the face of death. But now, when he saw his brother, he suddenly realized that he was still so fragile in front of his brother. He really wanted to throw himself into his brother's arms and hang on his brother's body like his younger sister. "Big brother, is it really you? Second brother, is this our big brother? Am I dreaming?" "Jing Tiangang, you fucking bit me. It's not a dream," Jing Tiangang said. Xianxia, the mischievous Ling heir, had now grown into a delicate and beautiful girl. Her bright and beautiful eyes were sparkling with tears, making her look like an elf. "Brother Tianxi." Buttface wiped away his uncontrollable tears as he stood side by side with Ling heir and called out honestly. "Xiao Shi." Xiao Mei, who had been mature for a long time, was now in a mess. But her gentle eyes were shining with excitement, and the feelings hidden in the depths of her heart, which she did not dare to express, were so hot. However, before she could finish calling out little junior brother, she suddenly stopped. "Big brother." The first king's tall and straight body was still like a mountain. His golden hair was trembling. Gao Zhuang, Bai Xiaomei, Zhang Rongrong, Tan Hui, Bailey Lianqing, Lin Hao, Gu Xing, and the others were indescribably excited. "Big brother." Yang Fan, Li Feng, and Anai Jian Pain's eyes were shining. "Big brother." Even in an unconscious state, Mo Yui was shining with a fierce and vigorous sword will. Dongfang Jun pulled his aunt Dongfang Ting with a face full of excitement. "Chen Hao!" Xia Nantian, Xia Lanlan, and Duan Yufei shouted excitedly. Xiao Jian's eyes were also filled with tears, and her heart was bitter. Once, because of Dongfang Han, there was a barrier between her and Chen Hao, no matter how much Chen Hao cared about her. So, all this time, she tried her best not to think about it, and to not get close to it. But this time, she was still considered one of Chen Hao's closest people and was captured. But now, seeing Chen Hao again, she still did not know what to do, and did not know how to face him. I'm sorry I've implicated all of you. Chen Hao's gaze slowly swept across the crowd and said in a low voice. Big brother, what are you saying? You shouldn't have come. It doesn't matter if we die, at least boss can avenge us. Now, this palace is a seal condensed by the Grand Miss Sovereign. Huyen Aobo regained his senses after his agitation. His expression was both moved and resentful as he spoke. Yes, big brother, we can die with you. Although I'm proud, but who will avenge us? Jing Tiangang said. Big brother, you shouldn't have come. Chen Nan also said. We won't die. Don't worry. Xiao Yan, come down quickly. You've grown up. Chen Hao said. No, big brother, I don't want to be separated from you again. Be good, be good. Big brother must take all of you away immediately. Any later and we'll be discovered. Then promise me that no matter where you go, you'll take me with you, okay? Big brother promises you. Come, let go of your minds. Chi. After Chen Hao put down his sister, who was clinging to him, a mysterious crystal light shone from his glabella and enveloped everyone present. Big brother, what are you? Big brother's great world. Go in. Chi. Then, to everyone's shock, they all disappeared from the palace. Even the dozens of unrelated and unconscious girls of the Wuji star entered Chen Hao's great world in his mind. Xiaoqing, put on your clothes. In Chen Hao's great world, Chen Xiaoqing was cultivating naked under the Dao manifestation Immortal fruit tree when Chen Hao's voice suddenly appeared in her mind. Master! Chen Xiaoqing's pretty face flushed red. When she saw the embodiment in front of her, she hurriedly raised her Daoist robe and quickly put it on. What's wrong? Some of my brothers and sisters came in. Let them cultivate here as well? Master, I'll leave then. It's fine. I'll introduce you to them. However, just say that you're my friend for now. No, Master. Xiaoqing just wants to stay by your side quietly. Xiaoqing will leave for now. Chi. After Chen Xiaoqing finished speaking, she transformed into a streak of light and flew into the distance. Since Chen Hao had said so, she knew that her master was in trouble. Chapter 884. Chen Hao shook his head and did not say anything as he watched Chen Xiaoqing leave. He had no intention of keeping Chen Xiaoqing in a golden house. The current situation was only temporary. With a thought, a bright light flashed. Chen Yan, Chen Nan, and the others all arrived under the Dao manifestation Immortal fruit tree and looked around in shock. Whether it was the boundless heaven and earth spirit Qi and endless vitality, the Dao manifestation Immortal fruit tree that was shrouded in celestial light and surging Dao laws, or the boundless sea of supreme-grade spirit springs, all of it was beyond their imagination. Sea of supreme-grade spirit springs. Heavens, what kind of tree is this? What a rich vitality! What a majestic Dao law! Boss, this is your mind world? A great world. Isn't it only possible for the experts of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm to have one? Boss, you're my idol. You're too amazing. We can cultivate here in the future. Everyone was excited to be able to enter such a sacred cultivation ground after surviving a calamity. Their eyes were filled with joy, shock, and admiration as they looked at Chen Hao, who was only an incarnation of his divine consciousness. All right, all of you can cultivate in my great world for the time being. This is the core of the sea of supreme-grade spirit springs and the Dao manifestation Immortal fruit tree. It should be very beneficial to all of you. Brother, is this a universe? Chen Yan asked. It's still far from it. This is only the embryonic form of a great world. It's not very big. However, as my cultivation base increases, this space will become stronger, bigger, and more stable. However, it's not suitable for long-term use. The path of cultivation can't be honed in a pure land. It's fine if you go into seclusion occasionally. All right, I'll go out first and think of a way to escape. Oh, boss, can I drink the spirit springs? Huyen Aobo asked excitedly. If you can finish packing, you can take it all away. Chen Hao said with a smile before he disappeared from the great world in his mind. Phew! After his consciousness returned to his body, Chen Hao heaved a long sigh of relief. The nerves that had been stretched taut for the past 3 months finally relaxed at this moment. Although his brothers and sisters had been tortured for a period of time, fortunately, none of them were injured. Now, everything was under his control. As long as he didn't die, no one could hurt any of them. The restriction formed by 6 Grand Mist Supremacy Realm experts is simply too powerful. Chen Hao's powerful soul perception captured the auras around the palace as he thought to himself. Fortunately, all the preparations, Chen Hao's mind jumped. Old God's real body appeared inside the core palace. Chen Hao went inside. Activate. We only have an instant of opportunity. Don't worry, Master. As long as Master's description of its power is correct, then there is no problem. The margin of error is very small. There shouldn't be a problem. All right, Master, get ready. When we rush out, the shockwave will be very strong. Even my old bones will be heavily injured, Old God said. This. Without any mysterious fluctuations, the signal spread out from Old God's aircraft. Even the restrictions of the palace could not stop the transmission of these signals. Buzz. At that very moment, Chen Hao's energy surged out. His essence, energy, soul power, primary energy and soul power were all channeled into his fleshly body. At the same time, he put on a set of ancient sacred tier armor to push his defense to its limits. In the cultivation room of the palace where Bai Zhijing was, something the size of a human head suddenly made a slight trembling sound. However, Bai Zhijing, who was drinking with the 4 brothers of the Wan family, did not notice it at all. In fact, even the supreme being of Hongmeng would not be able to discover the existence of the thing left behind by Chen Hao if he did not deliberately lock onto it. Invisibility and aura shielding were all based on the science of Earth. They did not contain any magical laws, just like the shielding and concealing function of his miniature aircraft. However, there was another world inside the sphere. It was a space refined by Old God's abnormal refining ability. It was loaded with the ability to destroy a planet larger than Earth. Considering the protective restrictions of the entire space of the Happy Valley, Chen Hao had absolute confidence that he could destroy the entire Happy Valley. Of course, this alone was not enough. If Chen Hao wanted to leave smoothly, the most important thing was the 6 supreme beings of Hongmeng guarding the Happy Valley. At the same time, before Chen Hao went to look for Bai Zhijing, he had secretly placed the things near the 6 supreme beings of Hongmeng who were sitting in meditation. Many of the disciples of the Happy Valley were bathed in immortal light and cultivating in broad daylight. In fact, it was precisely because of the existence of these shameless disciples that Chen Hao could easily place these things near the 6 supreme beings of the Grand Mist Realm. Buzz. As the signal received by the aircraft became more and more urgent, Chen Hao and Old God pushed their minds to the limit. Boom. Rumble. A terrifying explosion suddenly erupted in the Happy Valley without any warning. Bai Zhijing and the 4 brothers of the Wan family, who were still fantasizing that Bai Xiaobin would be able to ask about the concealment technique, were extremely terrified. Their bodies were blown into pieces, and their primordial spirits were annihilated. Without any preparation or any energy fluctuations, the explosion suddenly erupted. Even though their cultivation had reached the level of Daoist Jingxian, they could not escape. The mountains condensed by the 6 supreme beings of Hongmeng also collapsed at the same time. They did not know what had happened at all. They only felt an extremely terrifying explosive force suddenly attack them. The 6 supreme beings of Hongmeng who were sitting in meditation also vomited blood from the explosion. They immediately tore through the void and fled as fast as they could. Within a radius of tens of thousands of miles, all the palaces in the Happy Valley were turned into dust. All the mountains and all the disciples in the valley were annihilated. How is this possible? How is this possible? The 6 supreme beings of Hongmeng felt that their internal organs were dislocated. After gathering together, they looked at the Happy Valley that had been turned into ashes in an instant. Their hearts were filled with extreme fear. There was no longer any life left within a radius of 10,000 miles. It was a scene of devastation. Dust and smoke billowed. Even the spiritual energy of heaven and earth had disappeared. Absolute power. One move completely destroyed the Happy Valley within a radius of tens of thousands of miles. Even the 6 of us were injured at the same time, and it didn't use any divine ability. What kind of power is needed to do this? It was silent. Before the explosion, there were no fluctuations at all. Otherwise, with our cultivation, it would be impossible for us to be injured. How many people in the world can do this? This is definitely targeted at us, that's right. This move attacked the location where the 6 of us were and the core palace area at the same time. It might not be targeted at us. The 6 of us happened to be guarding the Valley of Happiness. It's impossible for someone with such power to not know about it. Such an attack would at most cause us light injuries. Furthermore, after the attack, there was no reaction at all. There's something fishy about this. It seems that what we're worried about has happened. Let's go. We must report this to the Patriarch immediately. Brother Bai, what do you mean? Who else do you think would dare to do this? Chen Hao's people should have been rescued. If I'm not mistaken, Chen Wuliang should have come out of seclusion. The other 5 sucked in a breath of cold air when they heard the words of the Bai family's sovereign. Then, the 6 of them turned into streaks of light and disappeared on the spot. No one noticed that a miniature aircraft had torn through the void amidst the terrifying explosion and disappeared into the endless chaotic space. Everything had gone much more smoothly than Chen Hao had expected. However, after the incident, Chen Hao broke out in a cold sweat. The strength of the 6 Grand Miss Supremacy Realm elites was much greater than he had expected. Even Chen Hao, who had entered the chaotic space, could feel the terrifying aura that swept past him. If the 6 of them had not been in a state of shock and failed to notice him, they would not have been able to escape even with Old God's aircraft. After Chen Hao and the 6 Hongmeng supremacies left, the terrifying energy waves that spread for tens of thousands of miles around the Happy Valley attracted countless cultivators from Xiantian City, including the elites of the Alliance. No one dared to believe the scene before them. The Happy Valley was one of the top sects on the Asian Ing planet. The number of elites guarding the sect was something that countless sects and factions on the Asian Ing planet looked up to. However, it was now a wasteland devoid of life and spiritual energy. What did you say? Annihilated? Annihilated? The 6 Hongmeng supremacies were in the Happy Valley? How is that possible? Valley Master, they're dead. They're all dead. Everyone in the Happy Valley, except for the 6 Hongmeng supremacies, is dead. None of the elites from the Bai and Wan families survived. The Happy Valley is now a wasteland. Bam! The Valley Master of the Happy Valley, who was on his way to East Flow City on Vast Universe Planet, logged off from the second world and slumped to the ground. You're saying Chen Wuliang made a move? Patriarch, we're only speculating. It's not a big deal that one move could destroy tens of thousands of miles around the Happy Valley. After all, the level of the Happy Valley's protective restrictions is average, but to injure all 6 of us, and we didn't even sense the other party's aura. All of you come back first. Head straight to East Flow City. Understood. The Bai and Wan families, as well as the leaders of the factions that Chen Hao and Proud Heavens members had killed, were shocked when they heard the news. Although many of them had known that this operation against a mere sky immortal like Chen Hao was no longer a simple challenge, they hadn't expected it to be so intense and crazy. This made many of them uneasy. In a game between the upper echelons, if they chose the wrong side, it could lead to their demise. Chapter 885. Vast Universe Star's East Flow City had been bustling for the past 2 months. Countless cultivators from Vast Universe Star and even the Vast Universe Galaxy had flocked there. This was all because of God of Slaughter Chen Hao and Xiao Yan. One looked humble on the surface, but everyone could guess that his identity was not simple. He had obtained the title of God of Slaughter in the primitive mystic realm. He had dominated the primitive mystic realm, defeated the monstrous geniuses of the 10 galaxies, led the Proud Heaven Legion, and obtained terrifying battle records and contribution points. The other was known as the number 1 genius of the Sacred Temple, the direct descendant of the number 1 family in Vast Universe Galaxy, and the #1 heaven immortal of the human race, Xianxia. Both of them had the glory and halo of everyone's attention. Who would not pay attention to their battle of life and death? Who would not be curious? More importantly, any almighty who was slightly smarter could guess that their battle was not as simple as it seemed. God of Slaughter Xianhao participated in the primitive mystic realm as East Flow City. When he returned, he would naturally be in East Flow City. We can't miss this battle. Of course, although I haven't seen Xianxia and Xianhao's battle power with my own eyes, I dare say that their battle will definitely represent the peak of the human race's heaven immortal realm. That's right. It's said that Xianxia had the ability to kill Daoist Jingxian a few hundred years ago. As for Xianhao, he dominated the 10 galaxies in the primitive mystic realm. Even the monstrous geniuses of the Tyrants, the Bug Clan, and the God Clan were no match for him. Although Xianhao has only cultivated for a short time, the independent space-time laws of the primitive mystic realm allowed him to grow. Just looking at the ancient treasure he obtained is enough to prove it. That's right. His providence is too strong. We can only be envious. Look at the members of the Proud Heaven Legion. Which one of them is not strong? Although they were very strong when they joined the Proud Heaven Legion, everyone can be sure that without God of Slaughter Xianhao, their improvement and gains in the primitive mystic realm would not be comparable to what they are now. Look at Xianhao's women. There's nothing to say. As the saying goes, you can see how strong a man is by looking at the women around him. It's said that the Misty Rain Pavilion's current holy maiden, Humaingyang, has a complicated relationship with Xianhao. The reason why Xianxia accepted the invitation is also because of this rain. In East Flow City, in the taverns of all sizes, cultivators were packed to the brim. Nearly all of the discussions revolved around Xianhao and Xianxia. After Xianhao became famous in the primal secret realm, the 10-year duel between him and Valley of Happiness was no longer a secret. However, no one would have thought that Happy Valley would be able to invite Xianxia, someone who had been famous for even longer than Xianhao and had the strongest background on Vast Universe Star. There are definitely some reasons for this. Not to mention Humaingyang's innate Dao embryo, there isn't a single cultivator who wouldn't be moved by it. Even her stunning looks are something that all men yearn for even in their dreams. However, how many people in this world could enter Humaingyang's eyes? How many people were worthy of her? Perhaps only people like Xianxia and Xianhao were qualified to be her protectors. I don't think it's all because of Humaingyang. Oh? Then what's the reason? I'm sure everyone has already guessed a little about Xianhao's background. Half a month ago, Happy Valley of the Yang planet was reduced to ashes overnight. I'm sure you've all heard about it. So, if nothing unexpected happens, Xianhao's background is real, and everyone knows the status of the Xiao family in Vast Universe Star System. This is one of the reasons, so let's not discuss it further. Secondly, the treasures Xianhao obtained in the primal secret realm are simply too great and too tempting. If you can kill him and obtain his treasures, you'll be thousands or even tens of thousands of times richer than the average expert in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. Thirdly, the current God of Slaughter Xianhao can be said to be a monstrous genius who has shaken the 10 major galaxies. How much providence does he have? Even if Xianxia is stronger than Xianhao, his providence is far inferior. If I'm able to kill Xianhao, and it's under the gazes of so many people, what would the outcome be? That makes sense. The news of Xianxia's participation in the battle was spread by the disciples of the Divine Temple. They obviously want everyone to know. Yes, that must be it. The news of Xianxia representing the Happy Valley in the battle against Xianhao had indeed been spread by Xianxia in the Divine Temple. Humaingyang's humiliating words had thoroughly infuriated him. Since that was the case, he had to make as much of an impact as possible. That way, he would be able to reap the most benefits. Indeed, Humaingyang was not the only reason he wanted to fight. Humaingyang, who had a connate Daoist embryo, was indeed very important to him. But just as Humaingyang had said, he, who had cultivated for more than 1,000 years, had gone too far by challenging Xianhao to a battle to the death as soon as he returned. But now he no longer cared. This was especially true after he had gone through all of Chen Hao's records in the primal secret realm through the alliance. Because, if Chen Hao was given more time, even he was not confident that he could win. Boss, have you managed to contact Miss Hu? In East Flow City, in a private room of a luxurious restaurant that didn't belong to the Fan family, there were several men and women with imposing appearances. With a single glance, one could tell that they were dragons and phoenixes amongst men and women. One of them, whether it was in appearance or aura, was extremely dazzling even amongst these people. Moreover, anyone could see that he was the core of this group. At this moment, one of them looked at this youth and asked, "Do I, Xiao Yan, need to ask for a woman's opinion when doing things?" Boss, I didn't mean that. It's just that the rumors. Miss Hu's relationship with Chen Hao is a little strange. Hu Mainyang is destined to be my woman. Not to mention anything else, just my status as the #1 family of the Xiao family makes me, Xiao Yan, a good-for-nothing, enough to be her guardian. If I don't do it, who would dare? Boss, you're right. A few young men and women in the Heaven Immortal realm matched the Dao. But their expressions were a little surprised. They could sense that the Xiao Yan today was very different from his usual humble self. He had become domineering and even arrogant. But none of the people present thought that Xiao Yan was arrogant. The masters of the Wan family, Bai family, and other forces, as well as many elders of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, have all rushed over. Boss, you're representing the Happy Valley, so none of them dare not give you face. But no matter how I see it, it's like using a sledgehammer to kill a chicken. Even though that Chen Hao's natural talent is monstrous and his karmic luck is even more formidable, but his current strength is truly insufficient when compared to Boss. Him now. You mean he can surpass me in the future? Cough cough. Boss is the #1 genius of our vast universe galaxy. How can he surpass you? What I mean is, after a few more years, he'll have the qualifications to fight with you. Right now, he's at most on par with us. Ha! Enough. Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? Those who can sit here are my closest brothers and sisters. You know why I'm fighting. Actually, I also know that Chen Hao's talent is no less than mine. Perhaps he'll have the strength to fight and compete with me in the future, but a dead man has no future. Xiao Yan suddenly said with a laugh. Boss is right. A dead man has no future. I'm really looking forward to seeing how much stronger your already strong providence will become after you kill Chen Hao, boss. When the time comes, we'll be able to bask in your glory. Of course. Chen Hao's harvest in the primal mystic realm is also terrifying. Not to mention the Dao manifestation immortal fruit core, the other spiritual items of heaven and earth, the legacy techniques, ancient treasures, and so on. It's just too much. Don't worry, those things are just worldly possessions to me. Other than the Dao manifestation immortal fruit core, you can take whatever you want. The Dao manifestation immortal fruit core. It should have grown into a Dao manifestation immortal fruit tree by now, right? This kid has a lot of secrets. I'm looking forward to it. Boss, there's something I don't know if I should say. Naturally, we'll support you, but on the family's side. We're not in control after all, and the family leader has to consider the interests of the sect. Why? Does your family doubt the Xiao family's foundation? Boss, if Chen Hao's background is really the ruler of the vast universe galaxy, Chen Wuliang, then there are 3 true immortals. True immortals, 3 true immortals. Are they very strong? They've just cut their Dao. The Xiao family used to be able to keep him in check, and we still can. All you have to do is tell your forces that a few reclusive grand elders of the Xiao clan have successfully severed their Dao in the universe's primordial times. If that's not enough, then just say that the Xiao clan's patriarch is still alive. Huh! Everyone's eyes widened in shock when they heard Xiao Yan's words. The Xiao family was the #1 family in the vast universe galaxy. Everyone knew that they had a deep foundation, but no one could estimate how deep they were. After all, the ruler of the vast universe galaxy had changed many generations, but the Xiao family's status as the #1 family had never been shaken. It was already shocking enough that a few reclusive grand elders had successfully cut their Dao, But Xiao Yan's words made everyone's scalp go numb. What kind of existence was that? Even if no one knew how strong the Xiao family's patriarch was, they could tell by thinking about the time the Xiao family had existed. He was definitely a true immortal. Too amazing. Boss, the patriarch. He should be much stronger than a true immortal, right? What do you think? Xiao Yan asked with a smile, his face brimming with pride. However, the people present did not know that Xiao Yan's claim that the patriarch was still alive was true. The Xiao family's patriarch was the true foundation of the Xiao family that had stood tall for hundreds of millions of years. This was also the real reason why no ruler of the vast universe galaxy dared to touch the Xiao family. However, it was very difficult to ask him to come out of retirement. Unless the Xiao family was at a moment of life and death, it was basically impossible. Chapter 886. The Wan family, the Bai family, and other forces that were incompatible with Chen Hao, the number one aristocratic family, the Xiao family, and their loyal vassal forces, as well as the neutral forces that Xiao Yan and the others had roped in with their own connections, all gathered in East Stream City. As expected by Du Jing, Lan Feng, and the others, the forces that belonged to the Proud Heavens members didn't express their support for the god of slaughter Chen Hao without hesitation. Just like Hu Mainyang. Although she was the Holy Virgin of the Misty Rain Tower, the Misty Rain Tower had its own concerns. Hu Mainyang's words didn't have the power to influence the decision of the Misty Rain Tower's master. However, most of them chose to play safe for the time being. In the endless chaotic space, the aircraft that the old god had transformed into was floating quietly in the terrifying space storm. Chen Hao sat cross-legged. The Tao manifestation's celestial fruit tree stretched out for thousands of miles. The Taoist principles were tumbling and celestial light lingered around it. 3 more days. It's almost time. Chen Hao's mind shook. The branches and leaves of the Tao manifestation's celestial fruit tree that stretched out in the chaotic space all returned to the big world in his mind. At the same time, Chen Hao's mind transformed and entered the core of the big world in his mind. Looking at the faces of those who were immersed in cultivation, Chen Hao's mouth curled into a smile. His younger sister in cultivation was 90% similar to Chen Shui. The only difference was that their temperaments were totally different. This was caused by their different personalities, different experiences, and different cultivation stages. If Chen Yan and Chen Shui could stay close to each other like the beautiful sisters Leng Ninghuan and Leng Ningle, their resemblance wouldn't be inferior to that of the beautiful sisters. His younger brother, Chen Nan, had grown up. Although he was still a kid in Chen Hao's eyes, he looked older than him. This was also the reason why Chen Hao's cultivation stage had improved quickly, but his appearance had changed slowly. But face still looked simple and honest. It seemed that he had already gotten along with the clever and lively Ling heir. This was undoubtedly a very happy thing for Chen Hao. Xiao Mei, the first personal female instructor to make Chen Hao excited after he regained his memories, was already very familiar with her. Chen Hao originally thought that she had already gotten together with Xiao Feng. Although he had let it go in his heart, he subconsciously felt a little regretful as a man. And now, Chen Hao already knew that Xiao Mei had been pressured by her father to become Xiao Feng's Tao companion in name. At that time, Chen Hao had already jumped out of the secular world, and the two of them were already people of two different worlds. Moreover, Chen Hao was much younger than Xiao Mei, and she definitely couldn't use Chen Hao as an excuse in her family. Now, Xiao Mei relied on her own efforts, step by step. Although it was very, very slow, she constantly maintained the eternity in her heart, and once again walked in front of Chen Hao. Although it was an accident, although the gap between their realms was still very, very large, and although she still didn't dare to show it, but Chen Hao could see and sense it. A white light flashed, and Xiao Mei, who was in a state of cultivation, suddenly disappeared from Chen Hao's mind and appeared in the aircraft. Sister Mei, Junior brother? Xiao Mei murmured in her state of cultivation and immediately woke up. When she saw Chen Hao standing in front of her, she immediately cried out in surprise. Sister Mei, what do you think this is? This? A lifelike wooden carving suddenly appeared in Chen Hao's hand. This is when you left the Xiao family and rushed to the Royal Academy. We sent you off. Hee, that's right. Sister Mei, look at your affectionate appearance. What do you mean? When Xiao Mei saw her own appearance, her pretty face was already red. Chen Hao's carving was too lifelike. Anyone who saw Xiao Mei's appearance and gaze could see the depth of her feelings. Sister Mei, your talent is very poor. I know. Junior brother, thank you for helping me so much. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even be able to step out of the secular world. Xiao Mei was at a loss for what to do with Chen Hao's unconstrained words. She immediately lowered her head and said in a low voice. Her heart was filled with apprehension and bitterness. Countless fantasies, perseverance, and eternity in her heart, but when she really heard Chen Hao say such words, she still felt extremely uncomfortable. She didn't blame Chen Hao. Perhaps, from the beginning to the end, she had been thinking too much. His talent and realm exceeded hers by 100 or 1,000 times. She would look up to such a person for her entire life. How could they be together? What Xiao Mei didn't expect was that Chen Hao suddenly held her waist and asked softly, "Do you want to become stronger?" Xiao Mei's body stiffened, and her heartbeat instantly increased by several times. She raised her head and looked at Chen Hao, then avoided his gaze, but said, "Yes. Of course, I think about it all the time. Sister Mei, there's a very simple way for you to become stronger quickly, but you'll have to pay a huge price." "What way?" "Be my woman and dual cultivate with me. The price is very high. Sister Mei, are you willing?" "Junior brother, you don't dislike me?" "The gap between us is too big to..." Chen Hao directly covered Xiao Mei's mouth, using his actions to explain. He was very clear that Xiao Mei felt inferior in front of him. If he didn't take the initiative to point it out, who knew how long he would have to wait? Chen Hao had no reason to let the mature Xiao Mei continue to wait. Her talent had already reached its limit. If this continued, the distance between them would grow further and further, and she would feel even more inferior. Happiness came too suddenly, so suddenly that Xiao Mei couldn't control her tears. If Chen Hao wanted, she would give her everything without holding back. However, Chen Hao didn't take a step further. Enough was enough. "Brother, boss." After resolving Xiao Mei's psychological barrier, Chen Hao's mind merged with the world in his mind. At the same time, he sent out dozens of divine senses, directly awakening Chen Yan, Chen Nan, and the others from their cultivation state. "Brother, did we escape?" Chen Nan asked. For more than 2 months, in such a blessed cultivation environment, coupled with the help of Chen Hao's great Dao Sanskrit mantra, everyone had entered the state of thoughtless tranquility. Now that they saw Chen Hao again, worry immediately welled up in their hearts. "Don't worry, we've escaped," Chen Hao said with a slight smile. "Boss, that was a restriction formed by the Supreme Being of Hongmeng. We actually escaped," Huyan Aobua said excitedly. Everyone looked at Chen Hao with eyes full of shock and joy. "Not only did we escape, the people who captured you were also turned into ashes, along with the Happy Valley. Well, I'll send you out first. When my matter is settled, you can come in to cultivate. Brother, although I don't know how you have a great world in your mind now, I know that we can more or less help you in your great world. Can we not go out?" Chen Nan suddenly said. "Yes, boss, I don't want to go out. We already know that the person who will duel with you this time is the #1 expert of the Heaven Immortal realm in the vast universe star system. Although our strength is weak, it is more or less useful," Huyan Aobua said. "Boss, are you afraid that we will consume the resources of your great world?" Jing Tiangang said. "Boss, let us stay here," the first king said in a deep voice. "I'm not going out." Everyone had already learned the reason from Bai Zhijing and the 4 brothers of the Wan family since they were captured and rescued by Chen Hao. At the same time, they were also aware of Chen Hao's current situation. At this moment, they could vaguely guess why Chen Hao asked them to leave his great world in his mind. After all, just as Huyan Aobua said, Chen Hao's opponent was the #1 expert of the Heaven Immortal realm in the vast universe star system, a true invincible Heaven Immortal. Moreover, the opponent was a disciple of the number 1 family in the vast universe star system, the Xiao family. No matter how strong Chen Hao was, he was not confident in facing such a powerful existence. If they were in Chen Hao's mind, if something happened to Chen Hao, they would all be buried with him. Stop fooling around. With your current cultivation, you won't be of much help to me. Instead, you'll tie me down and affect my performance. I'm alone. Even if my mind space collapses, I won't necessarily die. Trust me. Chi. Chen Hao's divine consciousness surged, turning into beams of light that immediately wrapped around everyone. Immediately, Chen Yan, Chen Nan, and the others disappeared from Chen Hao's great world in his mind at the same time. When they reappeared, they were already in the space of the aircraft that Old God had transformed into. Everyone entered an independent space. You guys can stay here and cultivate for a while. Wait for my return. Chen Hao transmitted to everyone at the same time. Old God, your mission is to protect them. Also, help them cultivate. Is that okay? No problem. It's just that, Master, you really don't need me? With me here, I can at least increase your battle strength by 30%. Moreover, although I've already opened the last layer and can exist independently for a while, I'm still your life treasure. I can't stay for long, and we can't be separated too far. Just wait for me outside East Flow City. Don't be discovered by experts. In 3 days, the East Flow City fleet will arrive. I'll follow the fleet to East Flow City. I don't have much confidence in this battle. It's not about Xiao Yan, but the power behind him. If something happens to me, you'll have to choose another master. I know you can exist independently. It's just that you haven't reached the realm you need. Don't hide this from me. Master? All right, I admit it, but I've truly recognized you as my master. I don't have any intention of harming you, I know. Moreover, you're not an artifact spirit. Treat me as a brother and do as I say. Can't we not fight? We've already rescued them. At worst, we'll just hide for a while. The arrow is knocked on the bowstring. Although it's said that taking a step back is better than taking a step back, there are some things that can never be backed down. Oh God, you go. I have a feeling that in a life or death situation, the restriction I set to transform into a mortal will disappear. Once it reunites, there's a 90% chance of stepping into Daoist Jinxian. The situation isn't that pessimistic. The reason I'm doing this is because I don't want them and you to take risks with me. This time I feel that I'm about to face a great calamity. Chapter 887. Even Chen Hao did not expect that the conflict with many geniuses in the primitive mystic realm would escalate to the current situation. Especially with the addition of the Xiao family, the number 1 family in the vast universe galaxy, Chen Hao had no confidence in his situation. He had known that his father was not simple and that it was an era where everything depended on one's father. However, his father had not appeared until now. Moreover, after inquiring from many sources, Chen Hao clearly understood the strength of the Xiao family. Even if his father appeared, he would not be able to turn the tide. The only person he could rely on was himself. Chen Hao was not afraid. No matter how strong Xiao Yan was, he was only a heaven immortal. So what if he was called the number 1 expert in the heaven immortal realm? However, Chen Hao was afraid that the other party would secretly do something. Now, he was not alone. 3 days later, when the East Flow City fleet entered the vast universe star, Chen Hao returned to the original aircraft with Fan Xiaoqing. No one knew about their departure and return except for the captain and steward of the Fan family. Beep, beep, beep. As soon as Chen Hao entered the VIP room, he logged into the second world with his real identity. Instantly, a series of message notifications appeared in his mind. Long Ting, Long Yi, Du Jing, Pan Long, Lan Feng, Pan Donglu, Pan Dongxing, Hu Mainyang, Senior Brother Gu Chen, and the others. After reading everyone's messages, Chen Hao felt a warmth in his heart. He immediately contacted Senior Brother Gu Chen. Junior Brother, you're finally here. About the Happy Valley, I know. They're all right. Senior Brother, don't worry. In the video, Gu Chen's eyes shone with excitement as he stared at Chen Hao and asked, That's good, that's good. Junior brother, are you really the master of the vast universe galaxy, Senior Chen Hao? Now, speculation about Chen Hao's identity had already spread among the upper echelons of the vast universe galaxy. It was not difficult for Gu Qin, who was already the Daoist Jingxian, to know this news. It was rumored that the Happy Valley turned into ashes overnight. Dozens of experts from the Bai and Wan families died, and countless disciples from the Happy Valley died. It was done by the person behind Chen Hao. Think so? Senior brother, what's the situation on planet Wuji now? Guan Nanchao, Lu Qingyang, me, and your second senior brother have already rushed to East Flow City at the request of the Valley Master of the Valley of Happiness and the Alliance's Law Enforcement Hall. They want to settle their grudges with you here. Junior brother, if possible, have your father think of a way to stop this battle. Xiaoyan, I saw it. Although he's a celestial immortal, he's definitely not someone an ordinary Daoist Jingxian can contend against. His aura and pressure made me feel like I couldn't resist. Gu Qin said tentatively. Even he himself felt that it was unlikely. After all, if the Xiao family wanted to intervene, it would be to use Chen Hao's battle with the Valley of Happiness to stir up trouble. Now, the whole world knew about it. If Chen Wuliang wanted to suppress this, then he would have to make a concession. This was a game between high-level figures. Everyone knew what it meant to make a concession. The Xiao family was the ruler of half of vast universe galaxy. If Chen Wuliang were to make a concession, then that would only be because of his status as a ruler. At that time, the number one family, the Xiao family, would truly be able to cover the sky with one hand. Chen Hao shook his head and said, Senior brother, tell second senior brother, Guan Nanchao, Lu Qingyang, and the others not to say anything else. You just have to fulfill the 10-year agreement. Don't worry about anything else. I'll think of something. After hanging up Gu Chen's call, Chen Hao called Hu Mainyang again. Ever since he transformed into a mortal in the primal mystic realm, he hadn't seen her again. Hu Mainyang's appearance hadn't changed at all. Although she didn't need to disguise herself in front of Chen Hao, her innate charm and the temperament shaped by the Secular Heart Sutra still made Chen Hao feel stunned when he saw her again. After the call connected, the two of them stared at each other for a full half a minute. Seeing that Chen Hao still hadn't said anything, Hu Mainyang finally couldn't help but take the initiative to ask, Were you behind the incident at Happy Valley? I'm in the fleet. Where would I have the time? The speed of your aircraft is time. Others may not know, but I know. Then I want that ability too, right? One of the 6 great Hongmeng Supremes. Forget it. You have mastered a power that doesn't belong to any divine ability or law. Or rather, it doesn't belong to this universe. Don't think I don't know. It doesn't matter if you admit it or not. I want to tell you not to underestimate Xiao Yan. The Xiao family is the number one family in the vast universe galaxy. Since ancient times, no one has been able to shake them, not even the 4th strongest ruler of the vast universe galaxy. This is because of the Xiao family's supreme technique and the existence of the Xiao family's ancestor. After hundreds of millions of years, the Xiao family's ancestor still hasn't died. Now, several of the Xiao family's grand elders have successfully severed their Daoist. Hu Mainyang paused and avoided Chen Hao's gaze. Then she continued, I'm sorry. Sorry? That's enough. It has nothing to do with you. I can only support you on behalf of myself. The ruler hasn't woken up yet, but I believe he'll wake up when we reach the vast universe galaxy. You don't have to worry about anything. The only thing you can do is survive the battle with Xiao Yan. I won't advise you to run away. Although you have the ability, you won't run away. Xiao Yan is very strong. You have to deal with him with all your strength. You still have a chance of winning. Also, he has 9 lives. 9 lives? What do you mean? Don't worry about how strong his background is. If your father is Chen Wuliang, he won't be much weaker. Just kill him. Even if his body and soul are destroyed 8 times, he still won't die. If you win the battle, they won't have an excuse to deal with you openly for the time being. They can only do it in secret. When the time comes, your father should have made arrangements. The key will depend on your battle, Hu Mainyang said. Unlike Chen Hao, Hu Meinyang's understanding of the situation in the vast universe galaxy was unparalleled among the younger generation. After all, the nature of the Misty Rain Pavilion determined that she had to know more than others. Even if his body and soul are destroyed, he still won't die? Chen Hao nodded and asked with a little surprise. I learned about it from the secret records of the Misty Rain Pavilion. It said that the Xiao family's ancestor has existed since the birth of our universe. Up until now, many almighty experts and even true immortals have fallen and disappeared, but the Xiao family's ancestor has always existed. Every time the world thinks that the Xiao family's ancestor is dead and wants to make a move against the powerful Xiao family with a rich foundation, the Xiao family's ancestor will appear. He has 9 lives and 9 incarnations. They are true incarnations. The death of any one of them won't affect his foundation. Every 10 million years, such a person would appear in the Xiao clan. Although there is no clear information about Xiao Yan, he should be. In the past, he became the youngest celestial immortal in the vast universe galaxy. He had experienced countless life and death situations, and almost all of them were life or death situations. But just when everyone thought he had fallen, he would reappear. There is no other explanation other than the theory of 9 lives. Chapter 888. Soon after, Chen Hao contacted Du Jing, Lan Feng, Pan Long, Pan Dong Current, Pan Dongxing, Li Yang and Chen Ling, who had obtained the spirit helmet. After knowing what they had done during this period of time and the support they had received, Chen Hao heaved a sigh of relief. Although the forces behind Du Jing, Lan Feng, and the members of Ao Tian could not compete with the Xiao family, they were still a powerful force. In addition, the experts of the Manhuang tribe, who had been hiding behind Pan Long for tens of millions of years, had all come out. Even if they could not compete with the Xiao family, they could still play a role in restraining them. Personal strength, background, foundation. After cutting off the connection, Chen Hao took a deep breath and clenched his fists. The current situation made Chen Hao thirst for power even more. Originally, when Chen Hao and the others had killed many heavenly immortal geniuses in the primitive secret realm, no one had taken it seriously. Not to mention the forces behind Pan Long, Du Jing, Lan Feng, and the others, even the forces developed by Ao Tian's members couldn't be compared to the Bai family or the Wan family. However, the appearance of the Xiao family, who controlled half of the vast universe galaxy, broke the balance. The forces that Chen Hao and the others could use were much smaller. Many sects chose to wait and see. There was no other reason. The Xiao family was too powerful and terrifying. Daoyuo Jingxian, Supreme Hongmeng, Dao Severing True Immortal. Ao Tian. When I reach the peak of martial arts, I will let Ao Tian rule the world. Thinking of Ao Tian's glory in the primitive secret realm, Chen Hao's blood surged. Although he and Proud Heaven were nothing in the vast universe galaxy right now and weren't even inferior to a small sect, at this moment, Chen Hao truly had the idea of establishing Proud Heaven as a peak influence within the vast universe galaxy. He wasn't a single person. No matter how strong a single person was, they were ultimately limited. If he didn't want those around him to be bullied, then the only way was to become the strongest. Phew! After a long sigh, Chen Hao called Long Ting. Brother Hao. Sister Ting, what's the situation with Xiao Shui and the others? Chen Hao asked directly. Long Ting and Chen Shui were in the same aircraft. Although Chen Shui and the other women couldn't contact Chen Hao in the second world, they could communicate with Long Ting through Chen Shui's real body. When they entered the second world, they were still sealed off from the outside world. They've already contacted the person in charge of them, but they still haven't responded. But Brother Hao, Little Snow said that there shouldn't be any problems. Once we reach the vast universe galaxy, we might be able to regain our freedom. After all, on the surface, they and Heavenly Lord Yuanru are controlled by the Asian Ing Star Alliance as a bargaining chip for your promise of 10 years. I'm afraid it's not that simple. Forget it, that's all we can do for now. Try to contact the person who was in charge of them. If we can't contact them, someone else will take over. Don't resist and wait for my news. Rumble, Vast Universe Planet, Vast Universe City Alliance Headquarters. In a cultivation palace of a heavenly immortal realm expert, the door suddenly opened with a rumble. An old man sitting cross-legged in the palace suddenly opened his eyes. He stared at the dazzling light and murmured, "It's been 10 years. It opened at this time. It seems that junior brother is safe and sound. He came to keep the promise after all." Sigh, the old man sighed in his heart. Let's go. A shackle condensed from magic power directly locked onto the old man, who was Heavenly Lord Yunru. "Who are you?" Heavenly Lord Yuanru's expression changed slightly. Although he had been under house arrest for the past 10 years, the cultivation environment provided to him was incomparable to that of the Wuji star. Moreover, after he put aside all the complicated matters of the Wuji star and devoted himself to cultivation without distraction, the barrier that had imprisoned him for thousands of years finally loosened. Heavenly Lord Yuanru was sure that it wouldn't be long before he could trigger divine punishment and step into the realm of Daoist Jingxian. Heavenly Lord Yuanru had long guessed that such treatment had something to do with Qinhao. However, he didn't expect that when the 10 years came he would be restrained. Moreover, it was a power he couldn't resist. It doesn't matter who we are. What's important is that no one can violate the rules of the alliance, not even the controller. All the resources you have consumed in these 10 years will be recovered. Take them away. Heavenly Lord Yuanru had no room to resist at all. He couldn't resist at all and was torn apart by the person who came. At the same time, in East Flow City, where Chen Shui, Helian Wuzi, Tantai Lian, Xia Yu, the siblings, and the others were waiting for them to return from the primitive mystic realm, there were also experts from the Grand Mist Supremacy realm present, waiting for their return. Buzz. Are they back? When the first aircraft from the fleet that returned from the primitive mystic realm tore through the space barrier and entered the space of vast universe star, Chen Wuliang, who was sitting cross-legged in a palace deep in the sacred palace, slowly opened his eyes. His bright eyes seemed to pierce through time and space as he looked at the endless void. "Old brother Xiao, it's time for you to come out of seclusion. Otherwise, if you can't pass on your legacy, don't blame my son." Chen Wuliang looked in the direction of the Xiao family and said indifferently. "Ah, old brother Wuliang, your godson is 70% similar to you back then, but he's even more arrogant. Xiao Yan has already comprehended the true essence of the 9 lives inheritance. If he can destroy it, then he's capable. That Yi fellow couldn't do anything to me back then and transformed into the second world. Your godson is Ye's grandson, right? He can't do anything to Xiao Yan either. If he dies, don't blame me." Shortly after, an old and faintly discernible voice traveled through time and space and floated to Chen Wuliang's ears. The two of them seemed to be talking face to face. "Does that mean I'm responsible for my own life and death?" Chen Wuliang's eyes flashed. "You can think of it that way. Then what about suppressing others with your power and trying to seize my position as controller? That's up to you. That Yi fellow and I will fight sooner or later. As long as you don't destroy the foundation of the Xiao family, it's fine. We won't help either side. Your godson is ruthless enough to use an extraterrestrial civilization to destroy Happy Valley. You should remind him that he can't do anything he wants. In this universe, one must abide by the laws of the universe. The laws of the universe are the foundation. An extraterrestrial civilization is nothing but an unorthodox path. It won't be able to achieve anything great." "Old brother Xiao, your words aren't kind. If your Xiao family hadn't pushed him too far, would my son have done that? This has nothing to do with my Xiao family. It was the Wan family and the Bai family who took the lead. Xiao Yan only accepted the invitation." "Aren't you embarrassed to say that? Isn't that the truth? The Xiao family's influence is great, but it wasn't the Xiao family who initiated it." "Fine. I finally understand why Brother Yi and you can't coexist. I don't mind telling you, Brother Yi might reach nirvana in another 1,000 years or so. At that time, you'll suffer. An unorthodox path. So what if the power of faith gathered from all the cultivators in the vast universe galaxy? Alright, I've said what I needed to say. You can do as you see fit and don't disturb me. Damn it, 1,000 years. As the Xiao family patriarch's voice faded, Chen Wuliang shook his head. Even though he was a Dao-severing cultivator, There was nothing he could do to the Xiao family patriarch. Although he was the master of the vast universe galaxy, the ones who truly guarded it were the Xiao family patriarch and the fourth master of the vast universe galaxy, the master of the second world. At his current level, Chen Wuliang could talk to the two of them as equals, but it was impossible for him to suppress them. And this was when both of them were in the dormant period. His terrifying divine sense instantly spread throughout the entire vast universe galaxy. All living beings, all things in the world, were under Chen Wuliang's cold gaze. At this moment, the elders of the top sects in the vast universe galaxy looked up at the sky. They're awake. The Xiao family had sacrificed over 100 Grandmist Supremacy Realm Grand Elders who had long since gone into seclusion. Only 12 of them had successfully severed their Dao-severing cultivators and advanced to the true immortal realm. They opened their eyes at the same time. Congratulations to everyone for smoothly returning to East Flow City. All the major chambers of commerce of East Flow City welcome everyone to participate in the 3-month auction exchange. In addition, on behalf of East Flow City's fan family, I sincerely invite everyone to be guests of the fan family. The hotels of East Flow City are already packed with people. All the top forces and masters of the vast universe galaxy have gathered in East Flow City. As for the reason, I believe many of you already know. This is a rare event in the vast universe galaxy. I believe everyone will not be disappointed. Are you bragging? Our East Flow City is just an ordinary city on the vast universe star. For the ancient magic treasures on our bodies, just say so. Why do you have to boast so much? Brother, it looks like you've been in seclusion all this time. Don't you know about the 10-year battle between the killing god Chen Hao and the Ying planet's Happy Valley? The battle has already been set at East Flow City, and the heavenly immortal realm master that the Happy Valley has invited is our vast universe galaxy's #1 family, the Xiao family's Xiao Yan. I'm not bragging. Right now, East Flow City is 100 times more lively than vast universe city. As the captain's voice sounded out from the East Flow City Fleet spacecraft, all the cultivators in the spacecraft began to seethe with excitement. They had returned from the primal mystic realm with a bountiful harvest and were excited to be able to hold their heads high within their sections. They were also looking forward to the battle between the killing god Chen Hao and the invincible heavenly immortal Xiao Yan. This was especially true of Chen Hao's spacecraft. When Chen Hao slowly walked out, all the cultivators in the spacecraft began to seethe with excitement. Heavenly immortal realm. He was only a heavenly immortal, but he had caused the entire vast universe star system to tremble. Perhaps only the killing god Chen Hao could accomplish this. Many of the cultivators who didn't understand the situation thought that Chen Hao's freakish talent and combat strength were the reason. Secondly, Chen Hao had an enormous amount of treasures on him that were priceless. Thirdly, the battle between Chen Hao and the #1 family Xiao Yan, a monstrous genius, and the influence of Xiao Yan on the family Xiao Yan. There were many other reasons that had led to this grand occasion. Chen Hao had just walked to the exit of the spacecraft when an Alliance enforcer with a terrifying aura locked onto Chen Hao. The Alliance bears witness that the time of your battle with the Happy Valley has passed. Now, you must fulfill the agreement. The location will be set at the Alliance Central Plaza in East Flow City. You have 3 days to prepare. Any objections? Chapter 889. The man who spoke was the leader of the Yang planet's law enforcement team, who had agreed to the duel between Chen Hao and the Valley of Happiness. Now that he had the support of the Wan family, the Bai family, and other top forces, as well as the intervention of the Xiao family, the #1 family on the vast universe planet, he was confident again. No, Chen Hao said calmly. Shouldn't you release my people now? Don't worry, they will be released when the duel starts. Besides, you know their current situation. However, they should be on their way to East Flow City. To avoid unnecessary trouble, you'd better come with us. Come with you? I'm not a captive, this is a duel. Chen Hao, you violated the law of order of the Ying planet first. This is a duel in name, but it's a punishment. How dare you disobey? Are your eyes blind? If I want to fight, I'll fight. If I want to avoid it, do you think you can stop me? Get lost. Junior brother, Chen Hao, Gu Chen, Guan Nanchao, and the others were also in the welcoming party. When they saw Chen Hao rushing toward the law enforcement team, they immediately shouted in panic. The leader of the Yang planet's law enforcement team was Daoist Jingxian, who was at the peak of the late stage. Chen Hao's provocation was really unwise. Besides, in their opinion, Chen Hao was just a heaven immortal. Although his combat strength was terrifying, it was impossible for him to surpass Daoist Jingxian's peak of the late stage. You're courting death. Boom. When the leader of the law enforcement team saw Chen Hao rushing toward him arrogantly, blood rushed to his head. After all, he was Daoist Jingxian's peak of the late stage and a law enforcement officer. How could he allow a puny heaven immortal to offend him in public? Although he knew that Chen Hao was not an ordinary heaven immortal, he was too lazy to think too much at this time. He had come with the sword from above, and was in a difficult position. Since he had chosen a side, he could only help the tiger to the end. Idiot. Huh. What the leader of the law enforcement officers and everyone else did not expect was that the seemingly violent Chen Hao suddenly disappeared and turned into nothingness when he was about to clash head-on with his opponent. At the place where Chen Hao had been standing, Chen Hao's disdainful voice rang out. With a slight sway of his body, he headed straight for a warship in the distance. Brother Hao, how? The east-flowing sect and Long Ting stood in front of Qin Shui to protect her. They were confronting a Hongmeng supreme law enforcer. This law enforcer obviously did not belong to the Asian Ing planet. Of course, he did not belong to the East-Flowing City Alliance. And at this time, the masters of the East Flow City Alliance appeared like bolts of lightning. Their figures emitting terrifying auras and majestic auras landed around Chen Hao and the others. Who dares to cause trouble in the East-Flowing City Alliance? To everyone's surprise, the leader of the Grandmist Supremacy Realm of the East-Flowing City Alliance did not look coldly at Chen Hao, Qin Shui, and Long Ting, but at the law enforcement officers who were enforcing the law across regions. Fourth Grandpa. The East-Flowing sect's tense brows relaxed as he called out in a low voice. The old man was the elder of the East-Flowing City Alliance, the fourth son of the head of the Fan family, Fan Lang. Fan Lang nodded slightly to the East-Flowing sect, Chen Hao, and the others. East-Flowing sect, take little brother Chen Hao and the others back to the Fan family. The head of the family has prepared a feast. Fan Lang, what do you mean? Don't you know that we are enforcing the law? The Hongmeng Supreme Law Enforcer who stopped Qin Shui was not afraid at all. He looked dissatisfied and arrogant as he stared at the old man. This is East-Flowing City. How can it be your turn to enforce the law? And they are the honored guests of the East-Flowing City Alliance and the Fan family. Are you qualified? I am not qualified, but I am under orders from the headquarters of the Grand Mist Star Alliance. Headquarters? Whose orders? Are they higher than the orders of the Grand Mist Star System's master? If not, then scram with me. Fan Lang took out a token and said coldly. Let's go. Go? Once the token is out, it's like the master is here in person. Why aren't you kneeling? You, the person who came was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. Especially when he saw the countless young cultivators gathered around and pointing at him, his old face turned red. In any case, he did not expect that Fan Lang would come with the Master Chen Wuliang's token. But now, he had no room to maneuver. He could only endure the humiliation and kneel on the ground. After quickly bowing, he left without saying a word. When Chen Hao saw Fan Lang take out the token, he finally understood why the Fan family was so fierce this time. Previously, when he had just stepped out of the primitive mystic realm, the head of the Fan family had summoned him. But at that time, although the head of the Fan family had expressed his support, he was limited by the strength of the Fan family and could not help much. But now, with the appearance of Chen Wuliang, the Fan family had no scruples. At the same time, Chen Hao also let out a sigh of relief. Not much time had passed. In the city where Helian Wuzi, Tantai Lian, Xia Yuyu, the sisters, and the others had appeared, the same thing happened. The only difference from East Flow City was that in the other cities, The ones who used the ruler tokens to take away the women were elders from the Alliance headquarters law enforcement team. Even the captured Empyrean Yuanru was forcefully rescued by the elders of the Alliance headquarters law enforcement team. Chen Wuliang's counterattack could be said to be without any scruples. After stepping into samsara, he returned to cutting his Dao. After cutting his Dao, he went into seclusion. After waking up, even the Xiao family didn't think that Chen Wuliang would dare to openly challenge the Xiao family because of Chen Hao. But when Chen Wuliang decisively took action and took away Empyrean Yuanru, Chen Shui, Helian Wuzi, Tantai Lian, Xia Yuyu, the sisters, and the others, by the time the Xiao family, Wan family, and Bai family received the news, it was already too late. The news that accompanied it was even more earth-shattering. The high-level figures of Vast Universe Galaxies Temple Alliance have set a deadline of 3 days to gather at East Flow City for a meeting of the highest level of Vast Universe Star. Those who do not show up will be removed from the high-level figures of the Temple Alliance. All of Vast Universe Galaxies' peak influences, high-level figures, and hidden old undying masters were shaken, winds rose and clouds surged. A storm was brewing, sweeping through the entire Vast Universe Galaxy. High-level figures, anyone could see that in the near future, Vast Universe Galaxies' high-level figures would inevitably be reshuffled. This also meant that Vast Universe Galaxies' resources and influences would be redistributed. This was Controller Chen Wuliang challenging the Xiao family, the number one family in Vast Universe Galaxy that no one had been able to shake in 1 trillion years. Samsara has been quiet for so many years. Chen Wuliang is still as strong and overbearing as before. It seems that after reaching cutting Dao, he has the confidence to contend with the Xiao family's old ancestor. That's impossible. What kind of character is the Xiao family's old ancestor? He's an old undying man who has lived for 1 trillion years. Even our Vast Universe Galaxy's strongest 4th-generation controller, Yi Lan, wasn't able to shake him. Chen Wuliang has only just reached cutting Dao and reached true immortal. In my opinion, it's possible that the Xiao family's old ancestor has already passed away. Only then would Chen Wuliang dare to do this. It's also possible, after all, the Xiao family's old ancestor hasn't appeared for at least 10 million years. In any case, Chen Wuliang dares to do this either because of his personality or because he has the confidence to do so. Even though the Xiao family's old ancestor has passed away, the Xiao family has paid a huge price in the past 2 years because Chen Wuliang succeeded in cutting Dao. Many of the old undying men have taken the risk of cutting Dao. It's said that more than 100 ascetic Grand Supreme Elders have died in cutting Dao, but 12 of them were lucky enough to succeed. After paying such a huge price, they have 12 cutting Dao experts. Including Chen Wuliang's 2 companions, there are only 3 of them. How can they resist? Yes, in short, it's going to be lively this time. I think it's time for a change in controller. When that time comes, the Xiao family will really be able to cover the sky with one hand. It's not that easy. Don't forget how strong Chen Wuliang was before he reached cutting Dao. I dare not say that he could dominate the universe, but who in Vast Universe Galaxy could rival him? Now that he has successfully reached cutting Dao, how terrifying will his combat power be? There's one more thing that you've forgotten. What? The second world. The second world? Don't forget that the second world was created by the strongest controller, Yi Lan. Before Chen Wuliang became the controller, the second world was obstructed by the Xiao family and could not be popularized in Vast Universe Galaxy. But after Chen Wuliang ascended, this situation changed, and he now has the highest authority over the second world. Yi Lan must have reached an agreement with Chen Wuliang while in Nirvana. This is a terrifying force. Even if Yi Lan is in Nirvana, he is still a character on the same level as the Xiao family's ancestor. That makes sense. It seems that we shouldn't make our stance clear for the time being. It's better to play dumb and wait for the dust to settle before we make a decision. How can there be such a good thing in the world? To play it safe means to lose the initiative. Losing the initiative means that it's difficult to even maintain our current position. It's better to make our stance clear in advance and take a gamble. There are risks and benefits. I choose to support the controller, Chen Wuliang. I still think that the Xiao family has a better chance of winning. What a headache. In the void, in the chaotic space outside of East Flow City, dozens of old men had gathered together, discussing the situation of vast universe galaxy. They all had headaches. Whether it was in the mortal world or the world of cultivation, choosing a side was often done out of helplessness. For the sake of benefits and for the sake of self-preservation, there were many who did so for the sake of gratitude. To put it bluntly, as long as one wasn't a peak character, they were nothing more than a chess piece. These high-level matters weren't something that Xianxia could know about, nor were they things that ordinary cultivators could know about. However, for a time, East Flow City had become the most lively city in vast universe galaxy. There was no doubt about this. The cultivators that came from vast universe galaxy's 36 stars as well as the great cities of vast universe star caused East Flow City's population to reach an unprecedented level. In particular, the cultivators that returned from the primal mystic realm didn't care about the countless merchant associations that tried to win them over and directly rushed to East Flow City. All of this was because of Death God Xianxia. Those that hadn't gone to the primal mystic realm didn't know just how high Death God Xianxia's prestige was within the primal mystic realm. They also didn't know just what sort of status Death God Xianxia and the other members of Proud Heaven held in the hearts of all the human cultivators within the primal mystic realm. Chapter 890. Brother Chen. Boss. We support you. Brother Chen. We also support you. Under Fan Lang's guidance, Long Ting and Chen Shui walked to the left and right of Xianxia. As they stepped out of the Alliance's aircraft plaza, countless East Flow City disciples that had just returned from the primal mystic realm all cupped their fists and greeted Xianxia, their expressions filled with excitement. There were also a few outer members of Proud Heavens who called him Brother Chen. Fan Donglu and Fan Dongxing knew each other, but only a few knew Xianxia. This situation made Fan Lang, a Hongmeng supremacy, exclaim in his heart. Not to mention those who took the initiative to greet Xianxia. Just by looking at the way everyone looked at Xianxia, one could feel the status of Xianxia in the hearts of these people. Fan Lang, a primordial Grand Miss Sovereign, was walking together with Huang Xiaolong, yet he was ignored by these young disciples. What kind of prestige was this? At least Fan Lang had never felt it before. Thank you. Thank you. Xianxia was also slightly moved, and he cupped his fists all the way. Even he did not expect that these cultivators, who he did not know at all, would worship and be so enthusiastic about him. God of Slaughter Xianxia. In a corner of the aircraft plaza, a figure who had disguised his appearance and aura stared at Xianxia, who was winning from both sides, and murmured, "What a powerful soul." Unfortunately, it hasn't even reached the peak of the late stage of Heaven Immortal, let alone the perfect stage. Humph, what's there to be proud of? Except for being a little handsome, how can he be compared with Brother Xiao? His aura is not even as good as mine. Handsome? How can he be more handsome than Brother Xiao? Yes, I mean he's just more handsome than me. Compared with Brother Xiao, he's inferior in all aspects. However, his woman is really stunning. I really don't know, how did he dominate the primal secret realm and make so many people believe in him? It seems that the Earth Immortal stage foreign race genius who entered back then was not that good at all. Next to the figure, a few young experts at the peak of the late Heaven Immortal stage with powerful aura were also staring at Xianxia from afar, and they were full of disdain. These figures were Xiao Yan and his followers. That's enough. He's not as simple as you think. Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes and berated, however, no matter how strong he is, he can't escape from my palm. Humph, even though the controller was so high profile, he still couldn't stop the battle of 10 years. There was only one result for him: death. Let's go. After Xiao Yan finished speaking, he quickly left with several people. After seeing Xianxia with his own eyes, even though he knew that Xianxia had concealed his aura, Xiao Yan still believed in his keen senses and intuition. The god of slaughter Xianxia was no match for him. Senior, is the controller in the Fan family? Xianxia could not help but ask when they finally walked out of the aircraft plaza and entered the teleportation circle inside the city. However, Chen Hao only called him controller and not father. Up until now, Chen Hao was almost certain that Chen Hai was Chen Woyang. But until he saw him in person, he still couldn't be sure. The controller has an important matter to deal with in the East Flow City Alliance. However, the two true immortals Han Mei and Shui Mei are waiting for your return in the Fan family. Mother, hearing Fan Lang's words, Chen Hao showed a touch of excitement. Han Mei, Shui Mei, two true immortals. Wasn't Shui Mei his mother? Thinking of his mother's appearance, the softest part of Chen Hao's heart would be touched. He would never forget his childhood experience, and even more so, how his mother firmly believed in supporting the family by herself. She went through hardships to raise him and his younger siblings, and even had to take care of his disabled father. At this moment, Chen Hao already knew that those were only one of their lives in the cycle of reincarnation. At this moment, his parents, who had jumped out of the cycle of reincarnation and severed their Tao to become true immortals, might not have any impression of them. However, those were the most precious memories in the depths of Chen Hao's heart. For his mother, for his family, he embarked on the path of cultivation and achieved what he had today. If he knew that Chen Hai was the controller, Chen Hao would more or less feel a little estranged. However, when it came to his mother, he did not feel any estrangement. In Chen Hao's heart, everything was directed by his father. To this day, it had been a very long time since he last saw his mother. The last time he saw her was in the mortal world of the eastern continent of the Wuji planet. At that time, his mother was still an ignorant mortal. "Mother, your son can finally see you," Chen Hao said in his heart with an excited expression. Chen Shui's expression was also slightly emotional. Wasn't Han Mei true immortal her mother? When they were in the primitive secret realm, she and Chen Hao had already noticed Han Mei true immortal's abnormality and guessed a certain possibility. Although she felt wronged and sad at that time, she had already let go of the knot in her heart. After all, reincarnation was reincarnation, something that almost all cultivators could not avoid. Not to mention that Han Mei true immortal was still by her side after awakening, even if she severed the memories of this life. So what? The great Tao was heartless. In order to reach the peak of martial arts, one had to sever their emotions and forget their memories. Too much. Fan family, Core Palace. Han Mei true immortal and Shui Mei true immortal sat side by side, accompanied by the Fan family's patriarch and senior members. "They're here, Tianxi." Shui Mei true immortal couldn't help but want to stand up, but Han Mei true immortal grabbed her hand. The Fan family's patriarch and senior members all stood up and walked towards the palace door. "Mother." From afar, he saw his mother, who was sitting upright but had an excited expression on her face. Seeing that familiar gaze filled with motherly love, as well as the sparkling tears in her eyes, Chen Hao couldn't control himself anymore. His body flashed, and he suddenly sped up several times. He didn't even have time to bow to the Fan family's patriarch and the others, and directly rushed to his mother. Although his mother was already a high and mighty true immortal, her appearance was still the same as when Chen Hao last saw her. That gaze, that expression, if it wasn't a mother looking forward to her son's return, who could it be? Chen Hao knew very well what this meant, a true immortal's mother. It was impossible for her to still have the appearance of a reincarnated mortal, but now she appeared in this appearance. "Mother." Plop. Chen Hao directly knelt in front of his mother, tears soaking his eyes. There was no trace of the god of slaughter Chen Hao's appearance. But he didn't care, and didn't care about any image. In front of his mother, he was only a son, an unfilial son who ran away from home for many years. "Tianxi." Shui Mei true immortal leaned over, trembling, and held Chen Hao's shoulders. "Mother, I finally see you again. Quickly get up, let mother take a good look at you." "Little Shui." "Mother." Chen Shui wasn't as emotional as Chen Hao, nor did she kneel down. She only threw herself into Han Mei true immortal's arms, but turned her pretty face, looking at Chen Hao and Shui Mei true immortal. "Little Shui." Mother left without saying goodbye. "Are you angry with mother?" "Angry." Chen Shui pursed her lips and said, but the little hand that hugged Han Mei true immortal tightened a little. Han Mei true immortal smiled, and also looked at Chen Hao and Shui Mei. She said, "How, after seeing mother, you forgot your master, right? Sister, should Tianxi call you master, mother-in-law, concubine, or aunt?" Hearing Han Mei True Immortal's words, Chen Hao, who was excited, was a little embarrassed. Shui Mei wiped the corner of her eyes and helped Chen Hao out. She said, "Little Shui, should I call you aunt, second mother, or mother-in-law?" This was a difficult question for Han Mei. Calling her master was naturally not a problem, mother-in-law was also not a problem, concubine was also completely correct, and aunt was also not a bad thing. It had to be said, whether it was Chen Hao or Chen Shui, it was a very complicated matter to call each other's mother. What should they call each other? At this time, the head of the Fan family and others tactfully left the palace. At the same time, they felt very strange about the relationship between Chen Hao and Chen Shui and the two true immortals. Fortunately, Fan Donglu and Fan Dongxing were clear about the situation, so they understood what was going on. "Let them call me whatever they want. It's just a name. I'll call you master, I'm used to it." At this time, Chen Hao had also calmed down. He hugged his mother and smiled at Han Mei True Immortal. After a slight hesitation, Chen Shui bowed and said in a low voice, "Greetings, Auntie." Hee. The two true immortals were fine, but Long Ting, who was standing behind Chen Shui, laughed out loud. "This is little Ting, right? So beautiful." True immortal Shui Mei looked at Long Ting dotingly and asked, "Greetings, mother-in-law, your daughter-in-law pays her respects to you." Long Ting took the initiative to hug true immortal Shui Mei's arm and said intimately. Her face was not red, she was not panting, and she was not nervous at all. Chen Shui and Chen Hao could not help but admire this girl's shamelessness. Good, what a straightforward girl. Mother likes it, just call me mother in the future. How? You were the one who did the Happy Valley thing, right? After Chen Hao, Chen Shui, and Long Ting sat down, Han Mei True Immortal directly looked at Chen Hao and asked, "Tianxi, where are little Yen, little Nan, and the others?" True Immortal Shui Mei asked, "Master, mother, I'll call them over." Chen Hao patted his head and said, his father, mother, and Master Han Mei True Immortal Shui had all arrived. Now, no matter how bold the Bai and Wan families were, they would not dare to do anything to them. Chen Hao suddenly released an extremely powerful soul force, which instantly dissipated into the void. Outside East Flow City, the old god was hiding in the void, waiting for news. He was slightly startled. He could clearly sense Chen Hao's summons. This was the connection between the two of them through the power of their contract. What's going on? Could it be that Master has already solved the problem? Faced with the increasing number of experts in East Flow City, even the old god did not dare to rashly investigate. After arriving in the wilderness outside East Flow City, he had remained hidden, completely restraining his aura. He knew nothing of what was happening in East Flow City. The old god silently disappeared from where he was, tearing through the void at an astonishing speed. He quickly headed in the direction Chen Hao had summoned him. "Master!" At the same time, Little Wisdom One, which had returned with the fleet, respectfully called out in Chen Hao's mind. "Go pick up the old god and the others. Replace him and bring him here." "Yes, master." Wang. A light flashed between Chen Hao's eyebrows, and Little Wisdom One immediately flew out from between his eyebrows and tore through the void. Chapter 891. How? What's going on? Chen Shui and Long Ting were puzzled. They had no idea that Chen Hao had left the Alliance fleet during the 6 months he had spent in the vast universe star system. They also didn't know that Chen Nan, Chen Yen, and the others had been captured by the Bai and Wan families. They knew that the Happy Valley had been destroyed overnight, and countless people had died. However, like most people, they thought it was Chen Wuliang, the controller, who had done it. I arrived at the Ying planet 3 months in advance. The Wan and Bai families captured Xiao Nan, Xiao Yen, Ao Bo, First King, and the others. Even Sister Mei, Buttface, and Xiao Ling weren't spared. Chen Hao explained briefly. How did you do it?" According to the information I found, there were 6 Hongmeng Supremes sealing them. But you, with one move, not only did you break the seal to save them, but you also scared off the 6 Hongmeng Supremes. Han Mei, true immortal, couldn't help but ask. She knew Chen Hao quite well. From the information that Chen Wuliang had gathered, she was basically sure that Chen Hao was behind the incident at Happy Valley. However, she still did not know how he had done it. Master, that was a small toy I made with countless precious treasures. I don't have the ability to fight against the Hongmeng Supremes. Chen Hao said. Small toy? What kind of small toy could be so powerful? It's similar to the method I used to make the aircraft. It's basically outside the scope of the law of divine power. I see. Han Mei, true immortal, frowned slightly. By now, she already knew that Chen Hao was a life form from another universe, and she was curious about what kind of world it was. However, this involved Chen Hao's greatest privacy, so even she couldn't ask directly. However, Chen Hao's current situation made Han Mei, true immortal, ponder. An hour later, Chen Nan, Chen Yen, and the others were taken to the Fan family. After some excitement, they all attended the welcoming banquet prepared by the Fan family for Chen Hao and the others. Although Han Mei and Shui Mei, true immortals, were slightly worried about the battle between Chen Hao and Xiao Yan, no one mentioned it from the beginning to the end. The two of them had learned from Chen Wuliang that this was unavoidable. There were only 3 days for Chen Hao to calm himself down and adjust himself. There was no point in talking too much, and it might even affect his mood. Chen Hao, the 2 elders, the higher-ups of the Fan family, and many brothers and sisters of different realms, as well as the first senior brother, second senior brother, Lu Qingyang, Guan Nanchao, and the others from the Wuji planet, drank until late at night. When they finally finished, they returned to the palace that the Fan family had specially arranged for Chen Hao. Looking at the huge cultivation room full of restrictions and top-level facilities, Chen Hao sat down cross-legged and let out a long sigh. Master! Chen Xiaoqing appeared beside Chen Hao obediently and gently massaged Chen Hao's shoulders. Originally, Chen Hao had left Chen Xiaoqing on the Alliance's battleship and asked her to follow the Fan family's captain and manager to wait for him there. After all, until now, Chen Xiaoqing was still Chen Hao's secret to Chen Shui, Long Ting, and the others. Even though Chen Hao knew that the girls wouldn't do anything to him after learning of Chen Xiaoqing's existence, Chen Hao still had to consider the girls' feelings and find the right time to let Chen Xiaoqing appear. Now was not the right time to be in such a mess. Master arranged for me to wait here for Master. Chen Xiaoqing said softly, Master? I want to go into your great world. Not now. Wait until after my battle with Xiao Yan. Chen Hao turned around and pulled Chen Xiaoqing into his arms. Master, whether dead or alive, Xiaoqing will follow you. Let Xiaoqing go in. It's only 3 days. This battle will definitely be difficult. I don't know what will happen then. If it affects the great world in my mind, but I don't die, but you die, what should I do? Be obedient. I understand your intentions, but this isn't the time to let your emotions affect your decisions. Come, let your big brother relax. Chen Hao's lips curved up in a smile. Chen Xiaoqing's small face blushed red, but she revealed a touch of excitement. She obediently stretched out her small hand towards Chen Hao. There was no dual cultivation, only pure venting of primitive desires. After continuing for 2 hours, Chen Hao had completely discarded all the negative emotions and worries in his heart, and he just held Chen Xiaoqing in his arms and entered into the land of dreams. He didn't cultivate any lost skills. He put down all his belongings and fell asleep like a mortal. The night sky was clear and the stars shined brightly. In the massive East Flow City, every corner was still brightly lit. Large and small taverns, even the streets and alleys, including the several thousand-mile-wide mountain ranges near the station of some sects, were all occupied by cultivators from all over the vast universe galaxy. They sat in groups of 3 to 5, drinking and chatting, bustling with noise and excitement. From time to time, streams of light would streak across the sky, entering East Flow City from afar. There were masters, ordinary cultivators, and occasionally there would be people who emitted a terrifying aura that swept through the world. It was lively and lively, But behind this liveliness, East Flow City was filled with a tense atmosphere. By now, the news that the ruler of vast universe galaxy, Chen Wuliang, had summoned all the high-level figures of the Temple Alliance to East Flow City had spread like wildfire throughout the entire cultivation world. Similarly, 3 days later, the decisive battle between Death God Chen Hao and the #1 invincible heavenly immortal Xiao Yan was also known throughout the city. These two events had occurred at almost the same time in East Flow City. Anyone could guess what the reason was. Countless supreme elder masters and countless young geniuses had gathered. Even though the vast majority of people had concealed their auras, this still caused the skies above East Flow City to be filled with strange phenomena. Late at night, in the skies above the Fan Family Station, there would occasionally be extremely powerful auras that would tear through the void and arrive at the Fan Family's void restrictions. Helian Wuzi, Tantai Lian, Xia Yuyu, and the two beautiful sisters, under the guidance of the Hongmeng Supreme Elders that Chen Wuliang had sent, arrived at the Fan Family. Besides them, Pan Long, Lan Feng, Long Yi, as well as Du Jing, Chen Ling, Liang, and the others had also arrived at the Fan Family, meeting up with Chen Shui, Long Ting, Pan Donglu, Pan Dongxing, and the others. In the end, Hu Mainyang actually came hand in hand with Bailey Ningbing. Didi. On this night, even more cultivators who were immersed in the second world suddenly heard an urgent alarm sound in their minds. When all the cultivators opened the message in shock, they were all overwhelmed with shock. The second world's highest order. The second world will be closed for 3 days. All cultivators in the second world, no matter what they were doing, were ordered to leave within 2 hours. Otherwise, they would be forcefully interrupted. This was something that had never happened since the birth of the second world. At the same time, it also made countless people associate this with what was about to happen in East Flow City. Hiss. The moment the second world was closed, in the vast universe star's holy palace, a slight fluctuation suddenly appeared in the depths of the back mountain that was classified as a forbidden area. Apart from the controller, no one could enter. An old man appeared out of thin air. Chapter 892. The old man did not exude any powerful aura. If a cultivator saw him, they might even mistake him for an old man with 1 foot in the grave. He had a stooped figure, snow-white hair, a white beard, and a face full of wrinkles. His teeth had all fallen out, and his eyes were as turbid as a dead fish's. It seemed like a gust of wind could blow him away. He was old. Anyone who saw the old man could feel the old man's exhaustion. The air of the vast thousand domains is so comfortable. The old man breathed in the fresh air with intoxication and muttered to himself, "How many years has it been? I finally got some information about little Jade. How can I let others destroy the old man?" The old man looked up at the void and slowly walked forward. There was still no energy fluctuation, but when the old man's feet landed on the void, it was as if he was stepping on solid ground. He ascended to the sky with 1 step, split the void with 2 steps, and fled with 3 steps. Even the supreme restriction of the sacred temple could not stop him in the slightest. There were no ripples of being torn apart, and the old man disappeared without a trace. 10 minutes later, a stooped figure appeared on the streets of East Flow City. At this moment, his aura was that of an ordinary earth immortal. His turbid eyes swept over the people coming and going as he hobbled toward the alliance of East Flow City. The vast thousand domains is still the vast thousand domains after all. The old man looked around and saw familiar figures. He knew every cultivator that he saw. Not only did he know them, but he also knew many of their secrets. Everyone, even the weak human immortals, had no secrets in his eyes. However, what he saw in the vast thousand domains was still fundamentally different from the information in his boundless memories. "Patriarch, please come out of seclusion. Our Shao clan has paid a heavy price, and only 12 people have successfully severed their Dao. It's not enough to deter Chen Wuliang. He's already issued an order to inform the Sacred Temple and the Alliance's higher-ups to gather in East Flow City. It's obvious that he wants to reshuffle the cards. If our strongest force can't suppress him, Our Shao clan's title as the #1 clan will be hard to preserve. Even if we do, our resources and fortune will be stripped away. Moreover, bastard, this old man said, don't bother me again. Patriarch, please listen to this disciple. What's there to say? The old man had said that Chen Wuliang wouldn't dare to do anything to the Shao family. You asked for it. Do you really think he's afraid of me? Although his strength after cutting path was not enough to be feared, he had the support of that old fart, Yi Lan, behind him. The current status and power of the Shao family is already the limit of what he can endure, and this is also the limit of what I can do. Yet, you still want to control the entire vast universe galaxy? This is really... Patriarch, the second world has stopped operating. All the cultivators have been cleared out. The Shao clan's patriarch knelt on the ground with a grave expression. He had no choice but to interrupt the patriarch's words. Well, ancestor, I wouldn't dare to go against your words. However, the second realm has closed. It's very likely that Yi Lan is going to make a move. How is that possible? Old man Ye's nirvana has reached a critical juncture. If he cuts off the second world and his real body appears, won't he be delayed for 1,000 years, 10,000 years, or even longer? I don't understand either. There's no reason. Alright, since that's the case, I'll go with you. You guys go first. When the time comes, the old man will naturally appear. Yes, Patriarch. I'll take my leave. The Shao clan's patriarch bowed and retreated. Only when he walked out of the clan's forbidden area did he turn into a stream of light with an excited expression. Could there be other mysteries behind this matter? It must be so, otherwise, Yi would never have come out of seclusion. The Shao clan's patriarch slowly walked out from the depths of the forbidden area and thought to himself. He was very clear about the current situation. As the #1 family in the vast universe galaxy, the Shao clan's overall strength was definitely an existence that dominated the vast universe galaxy. It was not an exaggeration to say that they controlled half of the vast universe galaxy. However, it was impossible for the Shao clan to use Chen Hao's matter to seize the position of controller. The Shao clan's patriarch was very clear that although Chen Wuliang had not established any forces as the controller of the vast universe galaxy, he was definitely not as simple as a single person. Moreover, Chen Wuliang's absolute strength was not something that the 12 cutting path experts of the Shao clan could compare to. In the current world, how could a controller be promoted without the strongest individual strength? Most importantly, Chen Wuliang and Yi Lan were still cooperating. Otherwise, the second world would not have been popularized in the vast universe galaxy. The Shao clan's patriarch could not figure out why Yi Lan would come out of seclusion at this time. After all, the current situation seemed chaotic, but in the end, it would not be chaotic at all. Chen Wuliang did not dare to do anything to the Shao clan. At most, he would weaken their resources a little and kill the chicken to warn the monkey. This was something that he had already discussed with Chen Wuliang. Then why did Yi Lan not hesitate to come out of seclusion at the critical moment of nirvana? Damn it. Old man, I want to see what kind of tricks you are playing. The Shao clan's patriarch's figure directly disappeared without a trace. When he woke up, the first thing that entered his eyes was Chen Shaoqing, who was completely naked like a little lamb, lying by his side. Chen Hao lightly stroked her smooth and jade-like skin and said, "Shaoqing, wake up." "Ah, master, stay here. I'm going out to take a look." "Master, let me enter your great world first. When you're fighting, let me out." "Alright," Chen Hao said after a slight hesitation. Chen Xiaoqing's original identity was just a mortal core. She had no family or friends. Strictly speaking, she should not even have her own thoughts. She was an existence that had been brainwashed. Now that she had someone to rely on, it was like a life-saving straw. There was no doubt that she relied heavily on him. "Greetings, young master." When Chen Hao stepped out of the palace, an old man from the Fan clan named Daoist Jingxian instantly came in front of Chen Hao and bowed. "Young master?" "Senior, just call me Chen Hao," Chen Hao said with a slight frown. This form of address was no doubt because of his father, but Chen Hao was not used to it. "I wouldn't dare." Young master, if you have any orders, just tell me. Take me to see Dong Lu and Dong Sheng. Chen Hao said directly and did not bother about this form of address. Okay, young master. Last night, many of your friends came. They should all be together. I'll take you now. Looks like there's no need for that. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this moment, several figures came as fast as lightning. Fan Dong Lu and Fan Dong Xing were in front, followed by Chen Shui, Long Ting, Helian Wuzi, Tantai Lian, Xiaoyu, the Leng sisters, Pan Long, Du Jing, Lan Feng, Long Yi, and the others. In an instant, they were in front of Chen Hao. Behind them, Hu Mei Nyang and Bailey Ningbing had also arrived. Chapter 893. This Big Brother. While everyone was excitedly approaching Chen Hao, Chen Ling and Li Yang suddenly appeared and took the lead to reach Chen Hao's side as they shouted excitedly. You're all here. Chen Hao smiled faintly and nodded slightly at the crowd. His gaze slowly swept across everyone present. Big Brother, are you ready? Du Jing asked. There's nothing to prepare. Chen Hao smiled faintly. Senior brother, tell us the truth. How confident are you? Sister-in-law Joy has already told us that you haven't even unsealed your transcendent mortal state. That's not important. The condition I set for unsealing my transcendent mortal state is to be unsealed when my life is threatened. Chen Hao said. Chen Hao. Upon hearing Chen Hao's words, Hu Meinyang, who was standing at the back and did not step forward, suddenly said, What you're doing isn't right. Xiao Yan has already reached the peak state where he can trigger heaven's punishment at any time. His strength is even more terrifying than the rumors say. I know you're very confident, but you can't underestimate him when you're fighting him. His innate skill is very powerful. I think it's better for you to unseal his transcendent mortal state in advance. In a battle between experts, one wrong step will lead to many wrong steps. By the time you encounter danger and unseal your transcendent mortal state, you've already missed the opportunity. That's right, Big Brother. I think Miss Hu is right. Lan Feng said. Everyone nodded in agreement. At this point, everyone had a good understanding of Xiao Yan. However, the more they knew, the more they realized how terrifying Xiao Yan was. The Xiao family was the #1 family in the vast universe galaxy for hundreds of millions of years. It was said that Xiao Yan had awakened the bloodline of the Xiao family's ancestor. How terrifying was he? Xiao Yan's experiences and legends were probably unable to reflect his true strength. Even though everyone knew how monstrous Chen Hao was, Chen Hao had only stepped into the peak of the advanced heavenly celestial stage for a short period of time. Moreover, he had just stepped out of the primitive secret realm and had yet to consolidate his foundation before he had to fight Xiao Yan to the death. No matter how they looked at it, he was at a disadvantage. Miss Hu is right, but it's a pity that there's nothing I can do about it. When I was transforming into a mortal, the soul contract that I set up was extremely strict. There's no way that my own people would be able to undo it for me. Only in a life or death situation, or when my current realm has surpassed my original realm. Chen Hao shook his head slightly. He looked at everyone and said, All right, let's go in and talk. Is something really going to happen? When Chen Hao told his younger siblings that he felt that he was going to face a great calamity, he wasn't being an alarmist. As a cultivator's cultivation increased, their understanding of the laws of the heavenly Tao would grow deeper and deeper, and their instincts would grow sharper and sharper. Under normal circumstances, they would have a profound sense towards impending danger. Especially for some cultivators who were nearing the end of their lifespans and had seen through life and death, they would even be able to see the scenes of thousands or tens of thousands of years in the future. They would be able to comprehend the future and see through the mysteries of the heavens. Chen Hao indeed seemed to have a premonition about the coming final battle. It was as if he had seen a point in the trajectory of fate, but he could not see it clearly or grasp it. This feeling made Chen Hao faintly uneasy. And just last night, after Chen Hao fell asleep like a mortal, he actually had a dream. This was simply a joke. One had to know that he was already considered an invincible celestial immortal. Even when he was sleeping, his powerful soul and will would remain in a state of emptiness. There should not have been a dream. Dreams, what one thought during the day, one would dream at night. Under normal circumstances, it was the hidden consciousness that caused mischief. And a cultivator's control over the subconscious was hundreds or thousands of times stronger than a mortal's. No matter what, there shouldn't have been a dream. But Chen Hao had a dream, and the dream seemed to be in a trance, as if it was announcing something. This made Chen Hao feel strange, and at the same time his uneasiness increased again. Fate. Chen Hao did not believe in fate. He only believed in himself. He believed that one day, through his own efforts, he would be able to jump out of the long river of fate. His fate would be in his own hands, not in the hands of the heavens. But Chen Hao also knew that whether it was fate, luck, or opportunity, these things were too profound for him now. For the time being, it was not something he could resist. Not to mention him, even his father, Chen Wuliang, could not do it. This was an invisible hand that controlled the 9 heavens and 10 earths, the universe, the starry sky, and all living things. How could it be easy to transcend fate? Among the 3,000 great Daoists, the great fate technique was the most profound existence. Chen Hao was still unable to cultivate, let alone control it. What's going to happen? No matter how strong Xiao Yan is, he's still a celestial immortal. Even if he can trigger the heavenly punishment and step into the Daoist Jingxian during the battle, so what? I can do it too. Even if I'm not a match for him, it's impossible for him to kill me. But what? Chen Hao shook his head. He could not figure it out, so he could only temporarily put it to the back of his mind. How, what's wrong? Chen Shui asked. Everyone could sense Chen Hao's abnormality. It's nothing, Chen Hao said. As he spoke, everyone followed him into the palace. Chen Hao closed the door and said, Everyone, take a seat. I'm very happy that all of you are here. Thank you. To everyone's surprise, Chen Hao looked at Hu Mainyang, Bailey Ningbing, Pan Long, Du Jing, Lan Feng, and the others. Boss, what are you talking about? We'll share hardships and blessings together. You're a boss. You're treating us like outsiders. Du Jing said. That's right. Boss, why are you acting so strange all of a sudden? Lan Feng asked in confusion. Whoosh. Chen Hao smiled lightly as rays of light suddenly surged out from between his brows. After that, countless ancient magic treasures, jade slips of inheritance, and spiritual items of the heavens and the earth fluttered and floated before everyone, causing the entire palace to be drowned in the aura of treasures. You can divide these among yourselves. Even if they're useless, you can give them to your sect, family, and friends. Boss, what are you doing? Senior brother, what do you mean? Chen Hao. Hu Mainyang frowned. Bailey Ningbing, on the other hand, had a strange look in her eyes. This was because many of the items that Chen Hao took out floated in front of her. The only ones who didn't were the girls who were related to Chen Hao, as well as Chen Ling and Liang. Don't worry, I'm not making arrangements for my death. Although Xiao Yan is strong, I'm still confident that I can fight him. It's just that I have a premonition that something unexpected might happen. Moreover, it should be a great calamity for me. Chen Hao said helplessly. At this moment, he could only say it out loud so that everyone would accept his things. Moreover, by saying it out loud, he could give everyone a heads up so that they wouldn't have to worry about him in the future. Chen Hao believed that since he could sense a calamity, it wouldn't be death. However, what exactly was going to happen was not something that Chen Hao could sense. Calamity? I can see it, I can sense it, but I can't see it clearly, I can't catch it. Keep these things, perhaps I'll have to disappear for a long time. When I return, don't forget me. How? Chen Shui, Helian Wuzi, Tantai Lian, and the rest all cried out. Especially all of you, you have to wait for me to come back. I don't want to be all alone when I return. Chen Hao waved his hand to stop the girls from speaking and continued to say with a smile. How, what exactly did you sense? Under normal circumstances, only cultivators who are nearing the end of their lives and have seen through life and death can see the future. Helian Wuzi suddenly said. After experiencing the endless cycle of reincarnation, her understanding of reincarnation and fate was much stronger than everyone present. Chen Hao's seemingly casual words made her unable to calm down. nearing the end of my life? Xiao Wu, I can confirm that I'm not in that situation. Then what did you see? Helian Wuzi asked again. I just saw all of you crying, as if you thought I was already dead. But I couldn't tell you, let alone contact you. It seemed like I was very, very far away, so far that it would take me a long time to return. Did you just see it? No, I was dreaming last night when I was sleeping. Dreaming? Everyone's expressions suddenly became extremely strange. But, are you serious? You can still dream now? That's too exaggerated. Lan Feng said. This is indeed a little strange. I think it's probably because there's still a lot of potential in me that hasn't been unlocked. That's why there's a dream? Well, it seems that this is the only reasonable explanation. I can only say that I'm too strong. But, since I had a dream, I'd rather believe it. If I really have to leave for a period of time, don't worry too much. Take these things, I have a lot of them anyway. Chen Hao said with a relaxed expression. You scared me, senior brother. If you want to give us something, just give it to us directly. How can we not accept it? How can we not accept it? I'll take it. Coiling Dragon directly took the treasures in front of him into his mind space. Brother Pan is right. Boss, is there anything else you need? How about you take them all out? We don't mind. You bunch of fellows, get out of here. Suddenly, a heart-palpitating pressure appeared. It wasn't just Chen Hao and the others, but all of East Flow City and all of the cultivators were instantly stunned, their minds falling into a daze. Greetings, controller. At the same time, a voice that resounded through the heavens and earth spread into everyone's ears. At this moment, all of the heavenly Dao laws of East Flow City stopped revolving. Heaven and earth energy froze and time came to a standstill. Retract your pressure. A voice that was filled with endless majesty sounded. Immediately, it was like a mighty spring breeze that swept over the entire land. It was also at this moment that all the cultivators, who had lost their minds and were on the verge of collapsing, immediately felt as though a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders. They immediately sat limply on the ground. Even Chen Hao paled, his body shivering. Luckily, Chen Hao and the others were sitting down, otherwise they would have also slumped to the ground, unable to resist. The pressure of a true immortal. Chen Hao and the others glanced at each other in amazement. So strong. Hu Meinyang muttered, the high-level meeting has begun. Unfortunately, we don't have the qualifications to watch. So strong. At the same time, in the conference room of the core palace of East Flow City's alliance, there were countless old men with looks that were even more ordinary than mortals, old women with white hair, and even beautiful middle-aged women. All of them were looking at the middle-aged Chen Wuliang in amazement. Chapter 894. It was just a greeting, but the top figures of the vast universe galaxy had a new understanding of Chen Wuliang's terrifying strength. Just now, nearly 20 old true immortals had released their pressure on Chen Wuliang at the same time, but Chen Wuliang had easily resolved it. It was like the spring wind and rain, warming the entire East Flow City. It was the power of one person. Even true immortal Han Mei and true immortal Snow Plum didn't help him. Chen Wuliang as expected of Chen Wuliang. The power after cutting Dao is really immeasurable, admirable. At this moment, the Xiao family patriarch's expression changed again and again, but his eyes were hazy. He seemed to be flattering, but his words were full of disrespect. No, compared to the Xiao family patriarch and brother Xiao, I'm still a little lacking. Brother Xiao? Chen Wuliang, you think too highly of yourself. Is that so? Even if your old ancestor came over, he would still call me Brother Chen. Is my name something a junior like you can call me by? You're courting death. To everyone's surprise, Chen Wuliang was so domineering. Not only did he speak in a domineering manner, but he also caught the master of the Xiao clan by grabbing the air. It was as if he was catching a chicken in his pants. Chen Wuliang, just as a genuine immortal of the Xiao clan shouted in anger, Chen Wuliang opened his palm again. This time, it was even more terrifying than when he had captured the Xiao clan leader. His palm seemed to have turned into a huge black hole, containing a mystery that even the top experts present could not see through. He had actually absorbed the Shao clan's hidden power, which had been hidden for millions or even tens of millions of years, into his palm. True immortal? I killed peak Earth immortals, peak Sky immortals, peak Sky immortals, peak Sky immortals, peak Sky immortals, Zenith immortals, peak Hongmeng. Now, you old farts with 1 foot in the grave who luckily succeeded in cutting Dao dare to challenge me? You want to use my son to seize the position of ruler? Did you eat shit? I've only reincarnated 100 times. It seems you've forgotten who I am. Motherfucker. What, you still want to fight? Bang bang. Chen Wuliang waved his hand and threw the two of them to the ground. He stepped on their heads with 1 foot each. Thousands of Dao principles imprisoned them and they could not even move. But this was not important. What was important was that he was doing this in front of all the heroes of the world. Controller Chen, what do you want? Among the remaining 11 true immortals of the Shao clan, one of them said with a gloomy expression. Even though they already knew that Chen Wuliang was very strong after the cutting path stage, they did not expect him to be this strong. What was even more unexpected was that Chen Wuliang would be so domineering. This was a direct slap to the Shao family's face, and he did not give them any face at all. Chen Wuliang, kill me if you dare. Let me tell you, our old ancestor has already left the mountain. I'd like to see just how capable you are. Kill me, huh? Kill me if you have the guts. Chen Wuliang's domineering and decisive means made the patriarch of the Shao clan so angry that blood rushed to his head. He had completely turned into a jumping clown. You're the one who started all this trouble, aren't you? The Shao family is the #1 family that has stood tall in the vast universe galaxy for trillions of years. To have a patriarch like you is truly a disgrace. If it weren't for Brother Shao, I would kill you right now. I can spare you the death penalty, but you can't escape punishment for disturbing the order of the vast universe galaxy. I'll send you to the ancient chaos void to train for 10,000 years. You'll be responsible for your own life and death. How dare you? The patriarch of the Shao clan roared in horror. The thousands of senior members of the Divine Temple and the Alliance shuddered and kept quiet out of fear. The ancient chaos desolate region was the #1 danger zone in the vast universe galaxy. Not to mention the Grand Mist Sovereign Shao family's patriarch, even a true immortal wouldn't dare to rashly enter, let alone enter for 10,000 years. What was the difference between that and death? There are only things in this world that I can't do, such as giving birth to a child. There is nothing that I don't dare to do. Open. Buzz. Chen Wuliang said arrogantly. With a light shout, the space-time gate began to condense in front of him. Chen Wuliang, I'm the patriarch of the Shao clan. You're going to destroy the Shao clan. Old ancestor, save me. Seeing the space-time gate about to form, the Shao clan patriarch was so scared that he nearly pissed himself. He desperately struggled to break free from Chen Wuliang's shackles and screamed out loud. At this point he had already lost all face. The only thing he could think of was to save his own life. How could he consider anything else? At this moment, all the cultivators of East Flow City were horrified. Although they couldn't enter the Alliance to watch, the Shao clan patriarch's cries for help left all the cultivators dumbfounded. Was this really the Shao clan patriarch? The Shao clan was the #1 family in the vast universe galaxy. What sort of character was the Shao clan patriarch? In the vast universe galaxy, besides Chen Wuliang, everyone had to bow and greet him. But now, he was actually asking for help. If it weren't for the Shao clan patriarch calling out his name and letting everyone know that the controller Chen Wuliang was messing with him, no one would believe this was real. Boss, your father is so fierce. Is this real? This is too fucking cool. I really want to go take a look. Like father, like son, like son, like father. How could Boss's father not be fierce? A true immortal. Although the Shao clan patriarch had over 100 old fogies of the Shao clan risk their lives to cut through the Dao, only 12 of them succeeded. He himself is still at the Hongmeng boundary, but I didn't think he would be such a soft egg. What a fucking disgrace. Boss, Perhaps your arranged battle with Xiao Yan won't be held. That's right. It would be great if that were the case. After all, that fellow has cultivated for so many years and is also at the perfection boundary. This is unfair. It would be best if they didn't fight. It's not as simple as you think. This battle cannot be avoided. Chen Hao shook his head. Although he was shocked by his father's strength and was curious as to what had happened that the dignified Shao clan patriarch would make such a disgraceful sound, from yesterday's conversation with Han Mei's master and mother, Chen Hao already knew that his battle with Xiao Yan was unavoidable. How is this possible? Unlike Chen Hao's excitement, Xiao Yan was waiting for news in a grand hotel in East Flow City. As soon as he heard this sound, his complexion changed. Boss, this voice? One of his lackeys had just opened his mouth when he shut his mouth. He wanted to ask if it was true, but seeing Xiao Yan's expression, he didn't need to ask. If he asked again, wouldn't that be asking for trouble? The other lackeys also frowned slightly. Evil creature, a father is respected by his son. I allowed you to ascend to the position of Shao clan patriarch. I didn't ask for merit, but for no mistakes. That's enough. But you evil creature, the Shao clan's face has been completely lost by you. Suddenly, an aged voice cut through the sky. At this moment, everyone in East Flow City had already ascended to a high place and were looking up at the sky. Endless celestial light flickered and terrifying Dao laws filled the air. The energy of heaven and earth surged, and an old man seemed to be stepping on the pulse of heaven and earth as he slowly descended from the 9 heavens. His pressure swept through the world and fixed everyone's gaze. Shao clan patriarch. The Shao clan patriarch who hasn't died in 1 trillion years. Heavens! Patriarch! As countless people were shocked, Xiao Yan and the other Shao clan members, no matter where they were, as long as they saw the figure of the Shao clan patriarch, they would bow to the ground, their expressions inexplicably excited. This was the Shao clan's true background, their strongest background, the foundation that allowed the Shao clan to stand tall for 1 trillion years. The Shao clan patriarch. Old brother Shao, you really came? You wouldn't have any objections to my methods, right? At this time, Chen Wuliang's voice sounded out. At the same time, Chen Wuliang stepped out of the Alliance Palace, one hand holding the space-time gate and the other holding the Shao clan patriarch. That old bastard came, so how could I not come? Old brother Chen, how about you let me punish him for his mistakes? Old brother Shao, our agreement still counts, right? Of course it counts. If that's the case, then I think it's better for me, the controller, to deal with him. With old brother Shao here, I don't have the qualifications to meddle in your Shao clan's affairs. But, since he deceived the high-level figures of Vast Universe Galaxy and provoked the Order of Vast Universe Galaxy, it's better for me to deal with him. Old brother Shao, what do you say? Chen Wuliang had a harmless smile on his face, as if he were asking for the Shao clan patriarch's opinion. But as he looked straight into the eyes of the Shao clan patriarch, it was clear that this wasn't the case. The Shao clan patriarch frowned. As he stared at Chen Wuliang, the pressure on his body began to rise at a terrifying speed. Chen Wuliang didn't avoid it at all. Although his appearance was calm, his pressure also began to rise. At this moment, the void became so heavy that it was suffocating. The tumbling Dao laws and the surging heaven and earth energy were even more horrifying. All of the cultivators of East Flow City were shocked by this hostile atmosphere. They all held their breaths, not daring to breathe. Or perhaps it was better to say that they couldn't breathe. Everyone was sure that if either of these two were to attack, all of East Flow City would be instantly turned to ash. Old brother Chen, the cutting Dao is indeed different. Since you want to deal with me, it's up to you. I'm looking forward to the life and death battle between the two juniors. See you in 2 days. After staring at each other for a full minute, the Shao clan patriarch suddenly retracted his pressure. The words life and death were especially heavy. As soon as he finished speaking, a long rainbow cut through the void, traversing hundreds of thousands of miles. In an instant, a young figure was pulled to his side. It was Xiao Yan. Greetings, patriarch. Xiao Yan respectfully knelt in the void. The Shao clan patriarch directly grabbed his hand and looked down. Yi Lan, if you dare to interfere in this matter, don't blame me for fighting to the death. Shao clan disciples, listen up. From today onwards, Xiao Yan will be the acting patriarch. When he steps into the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, he will be the official patriarch. The 11 Shao clan true immortals and upper echelons in the alliance responded in unison. Even the true immortal who had been imprisoned by Chen Wuliang like a dead dog was no exception. As for the Shao clan patriarch, his face was deathly pale. He had never thought that the patriarch would give up on him. Chen Wuliang also did not expect this outcome. When he had negotiated with the Shao clan patriarch, although he had said it casually, with Chen Wuliang's understanding of Chen Hao, he knew that Chen Hao was no match for Xiao Yan at the moment. However, although the Shao clan patriarch seemed to be easy to talk to, he did not relent on the life and death battle between Xiao Yan and Chen Hao. Chen Wuliang had no use for Yi Lan. Now, Chen Wuliang had suppressed the Shao clan and secretly asked Yi Lan to close the second world and pretend to leave the mountain, hoping that the Shao clan patriarch would give in and cancel the life and death battle between Chen Hao and Xiao Yan. However, he did not expect that the old man would give up on the Shao clan patriarch. This caught Chen Wuliang off guard. It was as if he had shot himself in the foot. Instead, the life and death battle between Chen Hao and Xiao Yan was unavoidable, and it would definitely be more intense. However, what Chen Wuliang did not know was that Yi Lan had indeed closed the second world as he had asked, but he did not pretend to leave the mountain, as he had said. Instead, he really did not hesitate to sacrifice thousands or even tens of thousands of years of cultivation to reappear in the world. This was because Chen Hao's position in Yi Lan's heart was far more important than Chen Wuliang thought. Chapter 895. Chen Wuliang snorted. The smile on his face disappeared and was replaced by a cold arrogance. 10,000 years. Whether you can survive or not depends on your luck. Get in. Chen Wuliang threw the despairing Shao family head into the space-time gate as if he was throwing trash. You will be sealed for 10,000 years as a small punishment. The Shao family true immortal who offended Chen Wuliang was sucked into his glabella. From today onwards, all direct descendants of the Shao family will be removed from the Alliance and the Divine Temple. They will not be allowed to join for 10,000 years. They will not be allowed to hold any important positions for 100,000 years. The young disciples of the Shao family will not be allowed to use any cultivation facilities in the Divine Temple or the Alliance for 1,000,000 years. Anyone who disagrees can come and fight for the position of controller with me. They are responsible for their own lives. Chen Wuliang's cold words made the upper echelons gasp. The Shao family members were filled with righteous indignation. After a short silence, one of the remaining 11 true immortals of the Shao family said angrily, "Chen Wuliang, don't cross the line. Looks like you are dissatisfied and want to fight for the position of controller with me? Fine, I'll grant you your wish. You don't dare? Why don't the 11 of you join forces? I'll be alone. As long as you win, the position of controller will belong to the Shao family. If you lose, you can accompany your idiot family head." Chen Wuliang narrowed his eyes and said provocatively. The Shao family patriarch was determined to have Xiao Yan and Chen Hao fight to the death. This completely enraged Chen Wuliang. If not for the fact that he was afraid that the Shao family patriarch would destroy the entire vast universe galaxy regardless of the cost, he would have attacked even if he was no match for the Shao family patriarch. Now, he could only vent his anger on the Shao family members. Since they had shed all pretense of cordiality, there was nothing more to say. The Shao family had stood strong for hundreds of millions of years and occupied half of the resources in the vast universe galaxy. Many direct descendants of the Shao family held high positions in the Divine Temple and the Alliance. Since you want to destroy my son, I will destroy your foundation. Although Chen Wuliang had said that 10,000 years or 100,000 years was nothing to the mighty figures of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm and could not shake the Shao clan's unfathomable foundation, Chen Wuliang believed that in another 10,000 years, he would no longer be afraid of the Shao clan's patriarch. When that time came, Who would dare to stop him when he gave the order? He, who had successfully severed his Dao, was definitely not as simple as that. This was because his son, Chen Hao, had given him a new understanding of the mysterious primary outline of the great Dao. Arrogant. Chen Wuyang, will you keep your word? I am the dignified master of the vast universe galaxy. Why would I lie to you? Good, 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 the heroes of the world can bear witness. Let's see how strong you are to dare to challenge all 11 of us. Idiot! Get the hell out of here. At this moment, the furious voice of the Shao clan's patriarch drifted over from afar. Almost at the same time, a huge hand that blotted out the skies suddenly sucked the 11 perfected immortals into its palm. At the same time, the void was torn apart, and a space-time gate suddenly appeared. You coward! Chen Wuyang looked at the 11 figures that were thrown into the space-time gate by the Shao clan's patriarch and said disdainfully. On the surface, he said 11 people, but in reality, everyone present could tell who he was talking about. Of course, he was talking about the person who stopped him. It's just a dispute of personal feelings. 10,000 years, 100,000 years, what's the big deal? It won't take that long at all. Brother Shao, my condolences. Don't cry in 2 days. Get the hell out of here, you old bastard. I respect you for being a great person in the past and respectfully call you brother. What kind of bullshit is it to make things difficult for a junior? There can't be 2 tigers on one mountain. Old Man Yi is a precedent. The weeds that should be dealt with as soon as possible. There is only one path to the future master. That is my Shao clan's disciple, Shao Yan. You colluded with Yi and pretended to leave the mountain. Wasn't it to force old man to give up? Unfortunately, you don't understand Yi Chen at all. How could he possibly delay his cultivation for 1,000 years or 10,000 years because of a junior? Especially at this critical moment. A peak late heavenly immortal who has been at the peak of the late heavenly immortal realm for 1,000 years is bullying someone who has just reached the peak of the late heavenly immortal realm. Moreover, this is because of the primal mystic realm space and time laws. I think you've lived for so long, but you've lived like a dog. You can't say that. This is your son's 10-year duel with Happy Valley. Yen is only an invitee. You aren't much younger than me. Is there something wrong with your head? Or was it kicked by a donkey? Can't you understand this principle? Don't be so smug. It's not certain who will die yet. My son is an indomitable spirit who excels at creating miracles. This time will be no exception. I want to see just who will have the last laugh. Let's wait and see. One was a master and the other was an old bastard. Both were peak existences in vast universe galaxy. But as the two of them spoke, all of the cultivators in East Flow City were left staring at each other. In particular, some young cultivators were left dumbfounded. They couldn't help but sigh. Even a master who had achieved the Tao was still a human. Scram. Chen Wuyang swept his eyes over the massive palace hall and coldly shouted out. The high-level figures of the Alliance and the Shao family left the palace hall one by one. Under the watchful eyes of everyone present, they were all covered in dirt. The vacated seats and their resources will all be rearranged 1 month from now. Is there a problem? No problem. Master, you have the final say. That's good. If there are no problems, then the meeting is adjourned. Winter Plum, Snow Plum, let's go. The 3 of them instantly vanished from the palace hall. The high-level meeting that had shaken vast universe galaxy had come quickly and left even faster. No one thought that it would have such an ending. Because of Chen Wuyang's strength and also because of his terrifying strength, even the Shao family's old ancestor wasn't able to stir up any waves. Of course, all of the peak masters present were well aware that this was also the reason that Chen Wuyang had the support of the 4th-generation master of vast universe galaxy, Yilan. The Shao family's patriarch was almost destined to die in the ancient chaos void domain. A true immortal of the Shao family was sealed in Chen Wuyang's great world. All of the Shao family's direct descendants in the Alliance and the Divine Temple were dismissed and expelled. The Xiao family's direct descendants lost the right to use all of the cultivation facilities in vast universe galaxy. If such a blow had happened to any other family, it was almost destined to decline or even be destroyed. However, the Xiao family's foundation was unfathomable. No one dared to take advantage of the situation. Not to mention 100,000 years, even if it was 1,000,000 years, they could still be self-sufficient and develop. As the Xiao family's old ancestor had said, 10,000 years or 100,000 years were nothing. At the same time, the Xiao family's old ancestor's words made everyone have a further understanding of the importance of Xiao Yan and Qianhao. What was the concept of a future master? That was the #1 expert of the current generation. It was obvious that the Xiao family's old ancestor valued Xiao Yan's potential. Similarly, the Xiao family's old ancestor would rather die than let Xiao Yan and Qianhao fight to the death. This was enough to show how big of a threat Qianhao was to Xiao Yan. Tianxi. Just when Qianhao and the others were still shocked by what had just happened, a voice that was filled with dignity and excitement that was not concealed in the slightest suddenly appeared in Qianhao's ears. In a flash, Chen Wuliang, Han Mei, and Xue Mei appeared in front of everyone. Qianhao looked at the imposing figure in front of him and didn't speak. It wasn't that he didn't want to speak, but that he didn't know how to. In his heart, the most direct impression his father gave him was that of a crippled mortal. Although he had long known that his father wasn't simple, when he truly knew that his father was the master of the vast universe galaxy, it still felt unreal. But now, he was standing in front of him. His appearance and figure were just a shadow of the past. Father knows that you must feel uncomfortable. You, little Xue, little Yan, little Nan, and are indeed the children of Father's last 100 reincarnations. You are also the key to breaking the taboo and transcending reincarnation. Of course, you are not Father's biological child, but you must believe that Father's last reincarnation was not a simple reincarnation. Father will always be your father. Even if the sky falls, Father will hold it up with you. In this vast universe galaxy, no one can do anything to you. Don't worry. If anything happens to you in the final battle in 2 days, Father will stop it at all costs. If Father doesn't have the ability to stop it, then I will bury the entire Xiao family with you. Even the Xiao family's ancestor won't be able to stop it. Qianhao looked at his father's eyes that contained deep emotions, and his heart warmed. He calmed down and said, "Father, you are the master of the vast universe galaxy. The big picture is more important. Moreover, I never thought that I would lose to Xiao Yan." What surprised Chen Wuliang, Han Mei, and Xue Mei, the 3 true immortals, and everyone else was that an old and weak voice suddenly appeared in everyone's ears. There was no sign, and even the 3 true immortals did not sense the slightest aura. However, a stooped old man with turbid eyes, who looked as if he would die at any time, quietly stood not far away from them, as if he had been standing there for hundreds of millions of years. Han Mei and Xue Mei were shocked beyond words, and the aura around them soared crazily. They couldn't help it. The old man who could appear beside them without making a sound was definitely at the true immortal realm, and his strength was several times stronger than theirs. "Don't panic." After a short moment of surprise, Chen Wuliang said to Han Mei and Xue Mei. Then he smiled and looked at the old man. "Brother Yi, you really came out? Boy, you've been reincarnated 100 times, but you still do things carelessly. Brother, it's easy to change mountains and rivers, but it's hard to change one's character. What can I do? Now is not the time to catch up with you. Leave your son to me for 2 days. That's great. Brother, my son's talent is unprecedented. Oh, right, it's very similar to Sister Yi Xian's body. Sister Yi Xian? You boy. If little Xian didn't have an accident, she would be your senior. Forget it, we cultivators talk with strength. Let me tell you clearly, your son's body is not similar to my daughter's, it's completely the same. Chapter 896. Yilan's cloudy eyes stared at Qianhao, who was in a daze. He ignored Chen Wuliang's surprise and suddenly looked at Long Ting, who was curiously sizing him up. He said, "You must be Xiao Ting from the Long family on the Asian Ing planet? You look exactly like Xian. You and Hao? Come with me." Xiao Ting, how? Since when were we so familiar with each other? Both Chen Hao and Long Ting were puzzled. Although Chen Hao had not formally introduced this unbelievably old man, from the fact that the three perfected immortals could not sense his cultivation level and the way Chen Wuliang addressed him, Chen Hao and Long Ting guessed that this old man must be Yilan, who was in cahoots with Chen Wuliang. He was the fourth-generation controller of the vast universe galaxy and also the strongest controller. He was also the true master of the second world. After Yilan finished speaking, his stooped figure took the lead and walked toward the cultivation room in the palace where Chen Hao was. Long Ting looked at Chen Hao in confusion. Chen Hao shook his head and looked at Chen Wuliang in confusion. "Go ahead. Brother Yi is the fourth-generation controller of the vast universe galaxy and the only one who can keep the Xiao family's ancestor in check. I really don't understand what's going on with Xiao Ting. However, Xiao Ting's image is too similar to Yi Xian's. Perhaps it has something to do with Yi Xian? You can ask Brother Yi." Chen Wuliang waved his hand. Chen Hao and Long Ting could only follow him in. When Chen Hao first entered the second world, he thought of a possibility. The second world was very similar to the simulated game space on Earth. At that time, he had learned from Heavenly Lord Yuanru that the second world was formed by Yi Lan's supreme ability before his death. Everyone thought that Yi Lan had become the second world and could not be alive. However, Chen Hao did not think so. The order of the entire world definitely required a super-powerful intelligence brain to operate. At that time, he felt that the cultivators who entered the second world would not be able to keep secrets from this intelligence brain. However, he did not care and could not care less. Now, his thoughts were confirmed. Yi Lan definitely knew all of his secrets, or it could be said that he had searched through all of his memories. It was the same for Long Ting. At the same time, Chen Hao was also able to confirm that the 10,000-year-old ancient corpse that had created his existence was the greatest genius of the vast universe galaxy since ancient times, but also the most regretful girl, Yi Xian, Yi Lan's daughter. Long Ting and Yi Lan looked exactly the same. What was the relationship between them? Chen Hao's genetic probing had traced the evolution of the origin, but he had not found any clues. At that time, Chen Hao had only thought that it was some kind of coincidence that he had met someone who looked exactly the same. But now, Yi Lan asked Long Ting to go with him, which made Chen Hao understand that it wasn't as simple as he thought. With all kinds of doubts, Chen Hao and Long Ting stepped into the cultivation room. "Xiao Shui, my good daughter." When Chen Hao entered the cultivation room, Chen Wuliang walked up to Chen Shui with a smile on his face. As he spoke, he reached out to touch Chen Shui's head. But Chen Shui took 2 steps back and dodged. Chen Shui frowned and glared at Chen Wuliang. "Haha." Chen Wuliang smiled and touched his own head. He said naturally without the slightest awkwardness, "I know you still have a prejudice against me. I'll take good care of you in the future." Then he suddenly looked at Bailey Ning Bing. "Little Bing too, ah?" Bailey Ning Bing was shocked. What did he mean? When Chen Wuliang looked at Hu Mainyang again, Venerable Immortal Han Mei suddenly said, "That's enough. As a controller, aren't you ashamed? So many of Hao's Dao companions and friends are here. You only recognize your daughter?" Cough cough. "My wife is right." Junior Du Jing greets uncle and auntie. Du Jing was the first to salute excitedly. Junior Pan Long greets, Junior Lan Feng, daughter Chen Ling, "That's enough." Chen Wuliang suddenly released a gentle energy and stopped everyone from saluting. He said, "I'm very familiar with all of you here, ha. Pan Long, Du Jing, Lan Feng Ling, Liang, and Xiao Wu, Xiao Lian Yu Huan Huan Le. My good daughters-in-law. Little Bing Mainyang, father. Father." At this moment, dozens of figures quickly ran over. The two in front were Qin Nan and Qin Yen. Chen Nan and Qin Yen didn't have much of a barrier between them and their father. When they stepped into the Xiao family of the secular world, their father began to guide them in cultivation. He even taught them a set of unparalleled combination techniques and told them to follow their big brother Chen Hao in the future. Although they didn't expect their father to be the controller of the vast universe galaxy, it was much easier for them to accept it than Chen Hao and Chen Shui. Greetings, controller. Along with Chen Nan, Chen Yen, Xiao Mei, Huyan Aobua, Gu Chen, Guan Nanchao, Lu Qingyang, and the Fan family's upper echelons were also present. These people were all excited and bowed with cupped fists. No need for formalities. We're all on the same side, no need for formalities. Chen Wuliang waved his hand and said, Grandfather. Bailey Ning Bing saw her grandfather, Guan Nanchao, appear and immediately ran over. Guan Nanchao was full of joy. Although the current situation was still uncertain, it was enough to prove how wise his decision to protect Chen Hao was. Especially after seeing Bailey Ning Bing with Chen Hao's people, he was even more relieved. More importantly, he vaguely guessed who Bailey Ning Bing's real father was: Controller, the Manhuang tribe's patriarch, Poison King Valley's master, Lan family's master, Misty Rain Tower's master, and others. Request an audience. The Fan family's patriarch said respectfully, As long as you come, please come in. Come to the main hall of the Fan family's main hall. Chen Hao and Long Ting naturally didn't see the bustling scene outside and didn't know what their father said to Bailey Ning Bing. Of course, they didn't know about Hu Mainyang, who hadn't been mentioned yet. Han Mei True Immortal stopped Chen Wuliang not because he had a problem with Hu Mainyang, but because Hu Mainyang's background wasn't something that could be explained in a few words. There were still many secrets that even Chen Wuliang didn't understand. It could be said that Hu Mainyang herself didn't even know that she had parents. Sit. Yi Lan sat cross-legged in the cultivation room. Although his body was still hunched, his cloudy eyes were now clear and bright. He looked at Chen Hao and Long Ting with bright eyes, becoming more and more benevolent. Unfortunately, Chen Hao and Long Ting felt like they were being seen through under his gaze, as if they could no longer keep any secrets. Chapter 897. It's been billions of years. When little Xian disappeared from this world, she was about the same age as you. Little Ting's appearance is almost the same as little Xian's, and the aura of your bloodline inheritance is exactly the same as little Xian's. Yi Lan's eyes became cloudy again. He raised his head and looked at the ceiling of the training room as if he was looking at the endless galaxy. His old face was filled with loneliness and loneliness. Chen Hao and Long Ting could feel Yi Lan's longing for his daughter. However, Chen Hao was still fine. After all, he knew how he was born. Strictly speaking, he was a product of science, a fusion and clone of two genes, and not the most primitive reproduction of humans. However, Long Ting, the thick-skinned girl, was extremely nervous and worried at this moment. If she was related to Chen Hao by blood and Chen Hao became her direct relative, wouldn't that be terrible? Although the two of them didn't take the final step, Long Ting's heart had long belonged to Chen Hao. No matter what, she couldn't accept such a fact. Long Ting was so nervous that her delicate body trembled slightly. Fortunately, Chen Hao held her small hand tightly, comforting her slightly as she waited quietly. Little Xian has always been my pride. Innate at 10, human immortal at 15, earth immortal at 21, heaven immortal at 28, and Daoist at 69. Not to mention our chaotic universe, even in the greater worlds that are more powerful than ours, she can be called a top genius. Yi Lan recalled and said slowly with a hint of pride in his calm voice. Although Chen Hao and Long Ting already knew that Yi Xian was known as the first genius girl in the vast universe galaxy, and might also be unmatched in the future, they were still shocked when they heard Yi Xian's experience. Chen Hao could be said to be heaven-defying, but compared to Yi Xian, there was still a huge gap. What kind of concept was a 69-year-old Daoist Jingxian? Of course, Chen Hao also knew that the environment and cultivation resources he grew up in couldn't be compared to Yi Xian's. Her opportunities and luck are incomparable. Unfortunately, Yi Lan shook his head and sighed. If she hadn't disappeared, she would be the strongest person in the vast universe galaxy, Or perhaps the strongest person in the ancient chaos universe, boundless 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 universe. Boundless universe, 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 boundless universe. Boundless universe, 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 boundless. Yilan's eyes became bright as he stared at Chen. Senior, are you sure we're related to Senior Yixian? Chen Hao asked. Although he had already determined that he was related to Yilan, and the 10,000-year-old ancient corpse on Earth should be Yilan, Chen Hao still had doubts in his heart. Hundreds of millions of years was too long. Not to mention Yi Xian had lost consciousness. Even in a perfect state, Daoist Jingxian didn't have such a long lifespan. Otherwise, Yilan, who was a true immortal, wouldn't look so old. True immortality was easier said than done. At the same time, the information involved in Yilan's words made Chen Hao hear information about a higher level of the cultivation world for the first time. The chaotic universe galaxy should be the name of the universe he was in at this moment. In this deep, vast, and mysterious galaxy, there were even more worlds that were stronger than the chaotic universe. What kind of existence was Earth? Cultivators were boundless, and the peak was ethereal. Chen Hao knew that the path he had to walk was still very, very far away. When you stepped into the second world, I knew. The second world is me, and I am the second world. When your mind and aura are connected to the second world, there are no secrets to me. However, you're a little special. There are some things I can't read, such as the specific content of the 3,000 great Daoists, and the true immortal treasure in your mind. True immortal treasure? Chen Hao said in surprise. It's just that you don't know. You can ask the old god. Yilan said with a smile. The memories in Chen Hao's mind were no secret to him. He naturally knew about the old god's existence. He should be the guardian of the true immortal treasure. You were able to come from Earth to the chaotic universe galaxy not because of Little Jade, but because of this true immortal treasure. Even if Little Jade was awake, it would be difficult for her to come back, let alone send you here. That's an existence that surpasses the doors of time and space. Connecting the 3,000 worlds is a true journey of time and space. The past, present, future, past life, present life, future life, and even the reincarnation of 100 lives. It can all be done in an instant with a thought. It's definitely a true top-grade immortal treasure. Otherwise, with the nourishment chamber on Earth, how could you travel through time and space? How could you have the ability to refine weapons that surpass your own realm by several levels? How could you have a big world in your mind now? This? Chen Hao was shocked. Oh God. Cough cough. Master, it's not that I don't want to tell you, but I can't tell you, and I can't tell you because even I don't know. Only with the improvement of your realm can I continue to obtain more information. I think this seal is also to protect you, Master. You see, if you knew in advance, such an expert would unknowingly check your memories. Wouldn't that be very dangerous? What he said might be true. But right now, I really don't know, Master. You have to believe me, I really don't have any reservations about you now. Old God, who returned with Qin Nan, Qin Yen, and the others, said in Chen Hao's mind. His words were sincere and even more pitiful. Come out and tell me, Chen Hao said as a ray of light shot out from between his eyebrows. Old God suddenly appeared in the cultivation room. Then you at least know what's going on with Yi Xian, right? She should be your previous master, right? Master, this is really not. Yi Xian only obtained my previous master's inheritance by chance. But she can't make me recognize her as my master. However, she can come to Earth and fall into a deep sleep. I know what's going on. What's going on? Chen Hao and Yi Lan asked at the same time. Yi Lan's old face was even more excited than Chen Hao's. After hundreds of millions of years, it was finally the first time he had received accurate information about his daughter. Anyone would be inexplicably excited. This, old god, I don't want you to hide anything. All right, I'll tell you. I hope old Yi won't blame me. After hundreds of millions of years, I'm already very happy to receive information about little Xian. I won't blame you. Yi Lan frowned slightly and said as he shook his head. Chapter 898. Although the old god didn't say anything, Yi Lan was certain that his daughter's disappearance was caused by the old god or the true immortal treasure that the old god was guarding. Otherwise, the old god wouldn't have told him not to blame him in advance. It's like this. The first condition of my previous masters is that the origin imprint must be on Earth. In fact, Earth isn't as simple as it seems, even though it's already in the age of chaos. I can't tell you the specifics for now. Cough cough, it's not that I can't, it's that I don't know and can't say. Every master, if determined to be unable to meet the requirements of my treasure, would collapse and die, and I would also collapse until only a wisp of consciousness was left, waiting for an opportunity to seek the next master. Every time this happened, the treasure I was guarding would sense Earth's call. After devouring endless energy, it would cross the endless starry sky and return to Earth. When it devoured energy, including the energy contained in the surrounding powerful life forms, under normal circumstances, it would bring countless life forms to Earth. However, none of them survived. All energy was devoured, and Earth was in the age of chaos, so there was no energy of heaven and Earth. These life forms could only face death. When the last master collapsed, Yi Xian, who was training in the chaotic space, happened to be swallowed as a body of energy. But Yi Xian's body was truly immortal and indestructible, possessing endless potential for evolution. Although all her energy was swallowed, she didn't collapse. Instead, she was integrated into the magic treasure, evolving into a state where she coexisted with the magic treasure. The old god paused for a moment before continuing. After arriving on Earth, if the spiritual energy on Earth was abundant, Yi Xian would have been able to wake up soon and recover her strength. However, there was no energy left on Earth for cultivators to absorb, and she couldn't obtain the recognition of my treasure. Therefore, she couldn't receive the treasure's reciprocal nourishment, so she fell into a deep sleep until you appeared, Master. I see. Yi Lan's wrinkled old face twitched slightly due to excitement. Then when I came to this world, what was the terrifying explosion? I clearly saw. That kind of explosion was nothing to Yi Xian's physical body. Master, you can easily do it too. However, now that the treasure and I have followed you here, I don't know what will happen to Yi Xian without the treasure coexisting. The old god said. Old god, how different is the space-time law on Earth from here? Yi Lan suddenly asked. One day on Earth, 10,000 years of chaos. In the endless Milky Way, I've followed the masters of the past. No matter which universe I'm in, I've never met one that's less than 10,000 times. Hiss. More than 10,000 times, his calm words made Yi Lan, Chen Hao, and Long Ting suck in a breath of cold air. Even though Chen Hao had long believed that the Earth was definitely not as simple as it seemed because of the secrets of the Daoist canon, he was still extremely shocked at this moment. What kind of powerful universal law was required to maintain the space-time law that was 10,000 times stronger than the vast thousand worlds of ancient chaos? He's so strong. Did the ancient almighties on Earth really disappear? Where did they all go? Is the Earth that I know the real Earth? Chen Hao took a deep breath and asked. Chen Hao had always thought that he had no attachment to Earth. In his previous life, he had no relatives, no friends, and there was not even a warmth that was worth remembering. His life and obsession were all for the pursuit of immortality. What was there on Earth, where the spiritual chi of heaven and earth had dried up, that was worth his sentimental attachment? However, every time he received news about Earth, he couldn't help himself. After all, that was the place where he was born and where his origin mark was located, and now, it made Xianhao have a strong desire to explore. What kind of existence were the ancient almighties and the mythological era that disappeared? The 9 prefectures that were recorded in myths and legends were not something that could be discovered by the thousands of years of Earth's civilization and the Earth that Xianhao knew. When he thought of the mysterious Earth that he couldn't find the slightest clue in his pursuit of immortality, Qianhao's desire to explore the unknown completely erupted. More importantly, Qianhao strongly felt that Earth would inevitably be the biggest key to his journey to the peak of cultivation. But I can't tell you the specifics. I can only tell you that what you see is only a very small corner of Earth. Your so-called science detects the whole picture of Earth. It's half true and half false. A world in a grain of sand, a Bodhi in a leaf. With Master's current vision, I believe that Master can find clues without me saying more. Old God said. Old God, can you take us to Earth? Yi Lan suddenly asked. You can see that I'm only the guardian of the artifact. My ability is limited. Only if Master's ability continues to improve and can always meet the requirements of the artifact's restriction will there be hope to return to Earth. Otherwise, returning to Earth means Master's collapse. Sigh. I thought there was hope. It seems that even if I succeed in Nirvana and have millions of years of life, I may not be able to wait until the day little Xian returns. Old God's words made Yi Lan, the strongest person in the vast universe galaxy, feel bitter. He'd originally thought that he would be able to rescue Yi Xian with Qianhao's clues and understanding that he was unable to read some of the memories in Qianhao's mind. But now it would seem like it was utterly impossible. When he spoke up to hear, Yi Lan gazed at Qianhao and Long Ting, and then he said, How? Even though you weren't born of reproduction, little Xian's bloodline flows within you. Old Man and little Xian are also your relatives, right? Senior, I know what you mean. One day I will return to Earth. No matter the price, as long as I can do it, I will definitely bring Senior Yi Xian to you. Qianhao said with great certainty. Good. Thank you. I hope I can still wait for that day. Senior, what about me? I'm exactly the same as Senior Yi Lan. What's going on? At this time, although Long Ting was surprised, she still asked the question that worried her the most. You are indeed closely related to little Xian. However, you don't have to worry. You are not little Xian's descendant. Until she disappeared, she didn't have a cultivation partner. In the world, at least in the chaotic universe, there is no one who can catch her eye. Your Long family's ancestor was not originally human. This point and you already know. Magical technology. Yi Lan couldn't help but sigh. He knew most of Qianhao's memories and all of Long Ting's memories. Therefore, he was clear about Qianhao's deduction of Long Ting's genetic origin technology. Chapter 899. Yi Lan continued. She was Long Qian, the daughter of the ancient true dragon king of the ancient chaos universe. Little Jade saved her life when she was in danger. Out of gratitude, and also because of Little Jade's talent and potential, Long Qian took the initiative to sign a lifelong master-servant contract with Little Jade. After Little Jade disappeared, Long Qian searched for her for countless years but eventually gave up. She missed Little Jade so much that she activated the ancient True Dragon clan's ultimate transformation secret technique. After the ultimate transformation, she became a true human and her human form became her normal form. At that time, she chose Little Jade's appearance. In the last life of 100 reincarnations, she formed the Long family with a human genius and took root in the vast universe galaxy. However, after the reincarnation cycle ended, Long Qian, whose talent and potential were not much worse than Little Jade's, truly gained human emotions and advanced by leaps and bounds. She successfully reached the Dao severing stage and stepped into the ranks of true immortals. After that, she left the ancient chaos universe again to search for Little Jade. The Long family in your generation has been blessed by fate. You have awakened the bloodline of the true Dragon King since you were born, And your appearance is exactly the same as Long Shi's true body. Yilan's words caused Long Ting and Chen Hao to both breathe a sigh of relief. At the same time, they were also very shocked, especially Long Ting. She had never imagined that such a secret existed in her family. Even in the family's records, there was not a single word about it. All this time, the Long family's decline had been attributed to the departure of their ancestor, causing them to lose their karmic luck, or to some sort of curse. When Long Qian left ancient chaos to search for little Jade, she had once asked me to look after the Long family. Unfortunately, it had been too long, billions of years. In addition, I had been severely injured in the battle with the ambitious Xiao family old ancestor. I could only choose to use my true self to undergo nirvana and transform into the second world to absorb the power of faith from the world's cultivators. However, the severely injured Xiao family old ancestor used the Xiao family's strong foundation and power to prevent the spread of the second world. I could only rely on a few reliable subordinates to absorb the meager power of faith to maintain my true self. I struggled at death's door until Brother Chen Wuliang rose up. Only then would the second world truly spread throughout the vast universe galaxy. Only then would my true self nirvana be able to continue. When you were in your mother's womb, the supreme treasure that your Long family's patriarch obtained was the inheritance treasure that Long Qian left behind when she left. Ah! Long Ting was shocked. Don't be surprised. Fortune and misfortune are hard to predict, and the design of heaven is hard to predict. Losing half of it is destined to happen. Now, Hao has helped you get it back from Guanyu, but you have to advance to the peak of Daoist Jingxian before you can reunite with it and truly obtain Long Qian's inheritance. Yi Lan seemed to see through Long Ting's doubts and said directly, "At that time, you should get the ancestral teachings left by Long Qian. Alas, it is little Xian's blessing to have such a loyal sister like Long Qian. Unfortunately, I can't help you much in the Nirvana realm. I can only open some special missions for your Long family in the second world, and they must be within the scope of your and my abilities. The second world belongs to me, but I have to abide by the rules set by it." Yi Lan paused for a moment and continued, "As for the ancestral teachings left by Long Qian, if I'm not wrong, it should be related to little Xian, and it is very likely that it contains the aura of the master-servant contract between her and little Xian. So, when Hao has the ability to return to Earth, it would be best if you could come with him, little Ting. The senses of the master-servant contract are much stronger and more accurate than one's own senses. It doesn't rely on aura. Moreover, hundreds of millions of years have passed, and Long Qian's fate is unknown. At that time, with little Xian's temperament, she will inevitably look for Long Qian again. It will depend on you." "Don't worry, Senior Yi, I will definitely go with Brother Hao," Long Ting said without hesitation. That's good. All right, there is not much time left. The life and death battle between Hao and Xiao Yan seems simple, but it concerns the fate of the vast universe galaxy in the future. No matter what, you must withstand this battle. The Xiao clan's ancestor has never given up on his ambition to unify the vast universe galaxy and even the entire chaotic universe. If it weren't for me and Brother Wuliang joining forces to deter him from acting recklessly, I'm afraid he would have succeeded long ago. The reason why your father couldn't stop this battle is also within my expectations. Because we are afraid that the Xiao clan's ancestor will fight to the death. If that happened, it would be a catastrophe for the entire vast universe galaxy. It concerns the life and death of hundreds of millions of lives. So, he insists on fighting and he has an excuse. We can only admit that Xiao Yan is very strong. "I know," Chen Hao said calmly, but his eyes shone with sharpness and determination. In the same realm, even if he started cultivating more than 1,000 years later than Xiao Yan, with the experience in the primitive mystic realm, Chen Hao still had the confidence to fight. In his past experience, when had he not challenged those of a higher realm? Back then, he had no background, and he didn't have the support of any cultivation resources. It could be said that he had relied entirely on his own strength to walk step by step to where he was today. How many life and death situations had he experienced, And how many miracles had he created? Even he couldn't remember clearly. The arrogance in his bones made it so that he would never surrender. As long as his opponent didn't surpass him by too much, he had the confidence to win. He is definitely stronger than you think, much stronger than the rumors. He has already completely awakened the Shao clan's ancestors' 9 lives inheritance. More importantly, I suspect that Xiao Yan is the Shao clan's ancestors' 10th life. Well, this time, Chen Hao was finally unable to remain calm. Yi Lan's words were too shocking, and at the same time, Chen Hao didn't understand. 9 lives, 9 lives, how did it become 10 lives? Then how can we fight? Isn't this sending ourselves to death? Long Ting said in shock. I also hope that this isn't true, but all the signs and the Shao clan's ancestors' attitude make this possibility extremely high. 9, the extreme number. My true self has undergone nirvana, and the only way the Shao clan's ancestor can contend against me is to break through the limit of 9 lives. However, you don't have to worry too much. Even if Xiao Yan is the Shao clan's ancestor's 10th life, he is only Xiao Yan for the time being. Even if he is at the peak of the heavenly immortal realm, he can only use the power of the 10th life. His greatest advantage is that he can obtain the Shao clan's ancestors' battle experience and comprehension of the heavenly Tao. It can be said that Xiao Yan can unleash the peak of his strength. Chen Hao frowned slightly. He was very clear about what Yi Lan's words meant. Simply put, it was like a peerless expert being reborn. Although his cultivation was limited to the peak of the heavenly immortal realm, he had the state of mind, comprehension, and experience of a peerless expert. He could use his strength to the extreme. This was undoubtedly an extremely terrifying thing. It was like the Shao clan's ancestor had sealed his cultivation to fight him. Chapter 900. So, in this battle, I don't seek victory, I only seek not to die. You have the same physical body as little Jade, and your soul is suppressed by a true immortal treasure that surpasses my knowledge. Dying together is also very difficult. I believe that the Shao clan ancestor does not know this. Even if you know, it's useless. But once it's destroyed, it will take a very long time for you to completely recover. So what you need to do now is to raise your immortal and indestructible ability as much as possible. Little Jade's immortal and indestructible body is not something that she was born with. It was a nameless breathing technique that she obtained from a huge opportunity. Little Jade once taught me, but unfortunately with my cultivation, I was unable to comprehend it and only understood the surface. But it allowed me to comprehend the nirvana of my true self. Perhaps you should be able to. I will teach it to you now. Little Ting can also try. Elon said. Nameless breathing technique. Senior Yi, there are less than 2 days left. No matter how good Brother Hao's comprehension is, what progress can there be? Long Ting said. Don't worry, why did I close the second world? The space-time laws of the second world are 10, one with vast universe galaxy. If it is specially condensed for you, it can reach 1000. 1. It is enough for you to comprehend. This breathing technique is related to the physical body and soul origin. Even if you only comprehend the surface, it will play a key role in this life and death battle. Begin. Yi Lan's eyes suddenly lit up and 2 milky white light of memory shot out from between his eyebrows and entered between Chen Hao and Long Ting's eyebrows. Immediately, Yi Lan's 2 withered hands formed dazzling and complicated runes at an astonishing speed and entered the space around the two. The space-time laws were condensed. At this moment, Chen Hao and Long Ting suddenly seemed to fall into a world of absolute silence. Heaven and earth suddenly disappeared, as if they had entered the realm of nothingness. Their thoughts jumped abnormally, clearly sensing the terrifying changes in the space-time laws and finally freezing. Unknowable, also unknowable, even unknowable death, also unknowable death. The unknowable is not a real body. Like a person in a dream, when the dream is not unknowable, but when awakened, there is nothing gained. Like the splendor of the universe extinguishing in the void, it cannot be said that there is a place to extinguish. But there is no place to live. All living things are born in the absence of life, and they see life and death in vain. This is why it is called the cycle of life and death. All living beings come from no beginning, and all kinds of things are reversed. It's as if they're bewitching the four directions and changing places. They mistakenly believe that the four directions are their own forms, and the six primordial shadows are their own forms. All forms are illusory. If all forms are not forms, then the five skandhas are all empty. The five skandhas are like the ocean, all empty like the shore of the other side. Through the sea of bitterness of life and death, one reaches the shore of nirvana. The emptiness of all dharmas, neither filth nor purity, neither increase nor decrease, neither birth nor destruction. The true self is originally unsullied, so it is also not pure. It is originally lifeless, so it is also indestructible. It does not decrease in the mortal, and it does not increase in the divine. Away from all falsehood, there is neither emptiness nor existence, there is neither reality nor emptiness. This is the true self. When Chen Hao began to read the Nameless Heart Sutra passed down by Yi Lan, what surprised Chen Hao was that this Heart Sutra actually originated from the Buddhist scriptures on earth, the Sutra of Enlightenment, the Diamond Sutra, and the Heart Sutra. Chen Hao had also dabbled in these before, but at that time, it was the same as the Daoist supreme arts. Chen Hao could not comprehend it, and could not cultivate it like the supreme arts of the martial arts world. According to his view at that time, Buddhist scriptures were a kind of spiritual sustenance, faith, and spiritual cultivation. To put it bluntly, it was reciting scriptures to get rid of worries, to seek peace of mind, and to be healthy. To immortality, it was basically meaningless. But now, Chen Hao realized that he had a mountain of treasures in his hands, but he did not know it. Just a few thousand words of scripture, but it contained the immortality, indestructibility, and even the everlasting Tao of immortality. All living beings are born without life, they see life and death in vain. The true life, the true self, is lifeless. Without life, how can there be death? To be born without being born, to be destroyed without being destroyed, to move without moving, to be formless without form, to prove the lifeless Dharma endurance. Everything in the world is relative. If there is life, then there is death. If there is coming, then there is going. If there is good, then there is evil. If there is right, then there is wrong. If there is movement, then there is stillness. This is the life and death Dharma, the reversal of Buddhism, which is also an illusion. If you are controlled by the life and death Dharma, you can only be immortal. In this life and death Dharma, if you can see the true self that is neither born nor destroyed, then you can pass the sea of suffering, reach the other shore, and achieve immortality. Chen Hao understood the meaning of the scripture almost effortlessly. But to truly understand the true meaning of the great Tao that it contained, it was not something that could be done in a short period of time. Phew, Chen Hao let out a long sigh. He looked at the endless void that was condensed by Yi Lan's divine power and sat down cross-legged. With a thought, the Tempest Temple that he remembered from the myths on earth was born around him. At the same time, a strangely shaped green lamp and a wooden fish appeared beside him. At the same time, an ancient Buddha appeared. What is this kid doing? Yi Lan, who was paying attention to Chen Hao's condition, saw Chen Hao's strange actions and was very puzzled. One should know that he had read most of Chen Hao's memories. But now, Chen Hao had condensed the palace and the utensils that Chen Hao had condensed with his divine power. The thing that caused Yi Lan to frown slightly was that the ancient Buddha condensed by Chen Hao was filled with an auspicious and transcendent aura, and it was like a divine statue that existed for eternity. But the appearance of the ancient Buddha was clearly Chen Hao himself. Believing in himself. What a strong confidence. This kid is only at the heaven celestial stage, but he has such a great spirit that looks down on the world. No wonder he can achieve so much at such a young age. Compared to him, I am really old. The greater one's ambition, the greater one's talent. When Chen Hao comprehended his own Tao, found the direction of his efforts, and confirmed his goal, He already understood that on the path of cultivation, one would lose if one believed in others and worshipped others. The only one could believe in was himself. However, the reason why Chen Hao had condensed the great thunderclap temple, the green lamp, the wooden fish, and other utensils in his memories was not too much of a thought. It was just based on his superficial understanding of Buddhism to seek the opportunity of epiphany. Buddhism emphasized the karma of the 3 lifetimes, the 12 karmas, and epiphany. Chen Hao was very clear that the sutra that he understood was only the superficial meaning. It was definitely not that easy to understand. The sound of the wooden fish rang. Chen Hao began to recite the sutra in a state of not seeking to understand, no obsession, and no desire. 9 returned to 1. In the depths of the void, in a pure land, the Shao clan's patriarch shouted softly. Endless celestial light and Tao laws surged out. Shao Yan's 9 lives and 9 bodies immediately began to merge slowly in a strange formation. At this moment, in the endless void, the energy of heaven and earth suddenly became violent, and a terrifying tribulation cloud condensed. 9 returned to 1, the dead one, the 10 born. This was a heaven-defying existence. But the moment it formed, it was destroyed by the Shao clan's patriarch with a flick of his finger. Shao Yan, who was gradually merging, had an increasingly painful expression. His originally extremely handsome face became ferocious and extremely terrifying. Just from this appearance, one could tell that the pain that Shao Yan was enduring was extremely shocking. Chapter 901. Shao Yan. Derived, the meaning of the name proved Yilan's guess. Shao Yan was the Shao clan's patriarch's 10th life. However, Shao Yan himself was not born from the Shao clan's patriarch, but a direct descendant of the Shao clan. But since he was in his mother's womb, when his soul was still in a chaotic state and his consciousness had yet to be born, he was parasitized by the Shao clan's patriarch's primordial spirit. 9, the extreme number. How could it be easy to break through? Even the Shao clan's patriarch, who had lived for hundreds of millions of years, could not do it. He could only find a shortcut and use the evil path to achieve it. The complex memories, which contained the Shao clan's patriarch's hundreds of millions of years of comprehension of the heavenly Tao, and battle experience, surged like thousands of streams flowing into the sea, constantly fusing into Shao Yan's mind. No. Patriarch. At this point, Shao Yan's soul already knew what was going to happen. He had never thought that he would be the patriarch's puppet. Feeling the endless pain of his soul being devoured, fear, unwillingness, anger, all kinds of negative emotions crazily spread in Shao Yan's heart. He howled at the top of his lungs, but he could not stop it at all. Don't blame me. Before you were born, your fate was already decided. It's just that I didn't expect it to come so early. I originally planned to wait until you stepped into the great circle of the Daoyuo Golden Wonderland before starting. Unfortunately, Chen Hao succeeded in Dao severing, and that old fart named Ji is about to succeed in Nirvana. Although you have almost absolute confidence in killing Chen Hao, I can't afford to lose. The Shao clan's patriarch's old voice resounded in Shao Yan's mind. The primordial spirit parasitized Shao Yan's soul, and the speed of devouring became faster and faster. Give up resisting, your soul is destined to collapse. However, your death is worth it. Sacrifice yourself for me, for the future glory of the Shao clan, and become my 10th life. If one day I can break through to the true immortal realm, step into the creator realm, and control the most mysterious river of fate in the world, I will reverse time and space and rebuild your life imprint. Ah, patriarch, you shameless. 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 Ah. Shao Yan roared madly and miserably, but how could a mere heavenly immortal resist the primordial spirit imprint of the Shao clan's old ancestor in his soul palace? In less than 2 hours, Shao Yan's voice could no longer be heard. 9 nines returned to 1. The 10th fate was complete. Very good, very good. You're only at the perfection heavenly celestial stage, yet you possess such strength. You're not inferior to me when I was young, What a pity. After the Shao clan's patriarch completely occupied Xiao Yan, he sensed the power in Xiao Yan's body and said excitedly. Although it was a little regretful, it was only a little. 2 days later, I'd like to see who can stop it. Pa. The old ancestor of the Shao clan said with a laugh. Although the 10th anima still required a lot of time to grow, it was still a success. Based on his understanding of the magical laws of the Tao of Heaven, as well as his battle experience, he would definitely be able to increase Xiao Yan's battle prowess several-fold, even if he was only in his 10th anima. Furthermore, he would definitely be more powerful than Xiao Yan's 9th anima. The Shao clan's patriarch could see that Chen Hao was far more important to Chen Wuliang than he had imagined. It was hard to guarantee that Chen Wuliang wouldn't do something crazy. Furthermore, through the information he'd gathered about Chen Hao, he discovered that Chen Hao was definitely a heaven-defying life form comparable to Yi Xian. If such a person truly matured before he'd reached the 10th anima, and before he'd fully recovered from the injuries he'd suffered from that old bastard Yi Lan, he'd be too terrifying. At that time, if Yi Lan, Chen Hao, and Chen Wuliang joined forces, he wouldn't be able to contend against them at all. Back then, I used some methods to prevent Yi Xian from discovering any clues and took Yi Xian away. Although she disappeared for hundreds of millions of years, it's still unknown whether she's dead or alive. It's already like a thorn in my flesh, and now there's a Chen Hao who's comparable to Yi Xian. Moreover, this Chen Hao's physique is almost the same as Yi Xian's. There's a high possibility that there's some connection between them. How can I make the same mistake again? The Shao clan's patriarch's eyes flickered as he thought to himself. No one knew, not even Yi Lan, that Yi Xian's disappearance back then wasn't entirely a coincidence, that she was swallowed by the terrifying black hole space. Back then, Yi Xian was merely Daoist Jingxian. Although her talent was heaven-defying and her battle strength was terrifying to the extreme, she was still far from being able to travel the starry skies. The reason why they had coincidentally encountered each other was that after the Shao clan's patriarch had coincidentally sensed the terrifying devouring, he had used a little trick to lure Yi Xian out without anyone noticing. Then he had pretended to escape with a miniature space-time gate, and Yi Xian had chased after him and sent him over. He had originally thought that Yi Xian was dead for sure, but he hadn't expected that Yi Xian had only gone missing. This had been like a fishbone stuck in his throat for many years. Only after hundreds of millions of years had passed and she still hadn't returned did he feel slightly relieved. After all, with Yi Xian's talent, if she matured, he definitely wouldn't be able to resist Yi Lan and Yi Xian. Now Chen Hao had appeared. His talent was on par with Yi Xian's, and his physical body was even the same. Most importantly, he was Chen Wuliang's son and was on the same side as Yi Lan. How could he let him grow? This was also the real reason why the Shao clan's patriarch didn't hesitate to threaten to fight to the death with Chen Hao. Dong. According to Pan Rua Pramitha, the heart has no worries, no worries, no worries, far away from the inverted dream, in the end nirvana. The sound of the wooden fish, which had the effect of calming the mind, was accompanied by Chen Hao's clear and transcendent chanting of scriptures. In the beginning, Yi Lan didn't feel that it had any great effect. It was just the situation that made him think otherwise. However, as time passed, every rhythmic sound of the wooden fish seemed to be knocking on his soul. At the same time, Chen Hao's chanting of scriptures also became more and more transcendent and elegant. The aura of his true body became more and more solemn and vast. A mysterious fluctuation that Yi Lan had never sensed in scriptures spread out from Chen Hao's body, mysterious and profound. Dong. As Chen Hao struck the wooden fish, it seemed to carry with it a faint golden light. It was as if golden ripples were spreading through the void. At the same time, Chen Hao's chanting naturally evolved into the supreme realm that appeared when chanting the primary outline of the great Tao, lotus blossoming tongue. It was only at this time that Yi Lan was truly shocked. His wrinkled old face was suffused with a red glow of excitement. He only pondered for a moment before his mind merged with Chen Hao's chanting of scriptures and the sound of the wooden fish. Under the laws of time and space, nearly 2,000 days passed in the blink of an eye. Buzz. Time's up. Yi Lan's voice with a trace of excitement and anticipation appeared in Chen Hao's mind. The chanting of scriptures and the sound of the wooden fish came to an abrupt end. Chen Hao slowly opened his eyes. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.